to another edition of Worcestery Council Theatre 3000. I'm Bryan O'Donnell. I'm here with Brendan Melican. Brendan.
What's shaking, brother?
Oh, not too much.
Did I get this right from you earlier? Bill is in Amsterdam?
Bill couldn't be here tonight. Bill's in Amsterdam. Bill is living that Playboy lifestyle.
The only reason I ask is if anybody out there who has never done this before, look at how many songs there are with Amsterdam in the title. Like when I was thinking about Bill being in Amsterdam, I started thinking about the Peter Bjorn and Shaun song. Like that's like one of my favorite songs to get tattooed to. Even fucking Rick Ross has a song called Amsterdam. Like everybody has a song called Amsterdam. There's hundreds of songs.
And here I am, having never been or written a song.
Yeah.
What a shame. That's good to know. We could make a whole playlist of Amsterdam.
We could have an Amsterdam playlist and send it to Bill.
Yeah, Bill is he's too good for America. He's off gallivanting. He is he's a billionaire. We can say it, right? People need to know that
he's paid taxes for years.
Yeah, he pretends to be like a Worcester scumbag, but really Bill is owned a huge mansion and he has champagne parties every night. Bill believes in the green light. Bill does believe in the green light. He's got the big billboard down the street with the glasses on it. He's his real last name is Gatsby, everybody. So it's hi Molly. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Yeah, Bill's off on he's pretending to be another guy. He's a talented Mr. Ripleying some guy in Europe. So we're excited for him and we're just here. We're here for the big, it's a traffic safety meeting. Let's be honest. That's what's happening tonight. There are other things as well, but everyone wants to get in while the getting's bad. The tide has shifted on the speed limit and traffic safety. And all it took was a fatal accident happening every single day of the past 2 weeks in Worcester. And there's a lot of speed humps tonight. There's
Mo's trying to put one on the street I grew up on. That breaks my heart. I don't know why. It just
you wanted unhumped.
I want an unhumped street that I grew up on. Yeah, that's
nobody wants to think of their childhood street as being humped.
That's no. I don't like the humps.
I don't mind them. I think they're cool. They're jump off of on my bike.
Your BMX bike. That's, If you're on a skateboard or a BMX bike, they're awesome. If you travel
up in the pegs, Brendan. Come on, we'll do a dual tail whip.
We have pickleball tonight too.
We got pickleball courts.
Not on the street I grew up on.
People want to steal tennis courts and make pickleball courts.
Yeah.
They want what else is on there tonight? Is there a shot spotter thing tonight?
I didn't see shot spotter.
Yeah, I might have been looking at it. I was looking through old ones too. I might have mixed them up.
But to be honest, I just paid attention to pickleball and speed humps. That was really
good. So yeah, we covered it last week, the traffic and safety meeting where Donna turned tail and succumbed to cyberbullying and made a statement that we should fully adopt a statutory 25 mile an hour speed limit throughout the city. It's going to be interesting because the morons are moroning about it. So public comment should be 2 hours long. Which is going to get interesting because, as you said in our group chat last night, Joe Petty usually steers clear of national politics. I'm actually surprised they didn't reschedule the meeting. But he's going to want to get them out of there before the debate tonight at 9 p.m. and I don't see that happening. I don't see how it could happen. So I think it's gonna be a lot of people in bad moods and being pissed off at public comment, and then hopefully just shutting up and passing it through. But Christian raised the idea that some at the meeting last week that some people are going to want a street by street basis taken as the way they incorporate this, and I imagine he was probably obliquely speaking to Mo Bergman.
It looks like he is moving forward too. Mike Benedetti in his write-up said that he's doing his fake police car thing too, which I find hilarious. We're just gonna have police. I mean, what? Imagine being the cop that every day has to go out and clean the graffiti off the fake cop car.
Did they forget this is Worcester? Someone's going to steal that car. Like
they're gonna burn it. They're gonna graffiti it.
They're gonna torque on it. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited.
Yeah, nothing.
I think we should start a challenge in Worcester. Is take a picture with the scarecrow car, and we try and find the scarecrow cars and take selfies with them, and then post them to the Worcester Police official page.
I pretty much avoid local internet like it's contagious. Have the cranks been complaining about the speed thing? Because nobody called in last week. It was
no. I don't know that it became on their radar until maybe even today. Really, honestly, Eric sent a screen grab to the Instagram account about somebody posting in the Seven Hills political discourse group, like, look what these morons want to do, kind of a deal. So I don't know. I without Donna like inciting them, I don't know that they'll get it together enough to really cause a ruckus. But that the Walter Bird contingent of Worcester is gonna, the fucking morons are gonna be gonna have something to say about it. And certainly the first death that happens in traffic after they adopt it will.
That's because people are driving too slow.
Yeah, certainly not be made a big deal out of.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see it all tonight. They do. They absolutely want to fight system. They haven't had much to fight over since they lost so bad on Mill Street. That this will become a proxy for that, I'm sure. And then maybe they'll live in old age homes that are outside the city limits, and we won't have to worry about. I mean, we already don't. Everyone, all the morons, all the cranks are people that live in Paxton and in Holden. They just post on Worcester Facebook. Yeah. So I don't know what we're too worried about.
And those are, I think, both communities that have lowered the speed limit to 20 miles an hour, aren't they? I know Princeton has.
Yeah. Do you want to know why? Because it fucking works.
It's actually, I got to put it together soon. Like there's actually a couple crosswalks at the end of my street that they did a ton of construction and nobody ever came back to repaint the crosswalks. I was going to put in an order for the council can you just fucking do that?
Oh, yeah.
But I also wanted to just slide in there and see if Nico noticed, also put in a request for DPW to leave small piles of bricks on the side of the road for neighbors to throw at cars from Holden when they immediately start accelerating because now they're in Worcester. Nothing fucking pisses me off more than how slow those bitches fucking drive through their own town. As soon as they come into Worcester, it just fucking open it up. And I think it's because they're terrified.
Yeah.
I think they're just terrified to be in Worcester.
Yeah, they are. It's crazy. They legitimately are. It's hilarious. It's very fun. There's a rally going on right now at City Hall before the meeting about traffic safety, I believe. So I don't know if anyone is on site there. We'd love to get some live updates from how that's going. How many people are there? If it's well attended. if anyone is wearing a funny, cool shirt or something, like maybe one of ours.
Is the Peter Durant standout like in the cemetery? Like where? Just holding
Getting ahead of
signs.
it. Why would you do that? I don't know. Hey, listen. Again, a place where people drive too fast. I hope cemetery.
Yeah.
The sheer amount of times that I've seen Travis and had to myself yell at people when you're trying to cross the street to Travis's studio is insane. People drive like assholes. People drive like it's like, I know we talk about this a lot, but it is marked how differently people drive like since 2020.
Yes.
It's
like, ridiculous.
It's not even just like defensive driving for like yourself. Like I find myself like, if I'm going to stop for somebody in a crosswalk, I angle my car so that the car behind me doesn't pull out around me. Like,
yeah,
they do it. People do it. Like,
Dude, it's wild on a motorcycle, like how people will cut around you, if not just to, like, act like they're going to plow you over. God forbid you stop for somebody in a crosswalk. But it's I mean, you drive a pretty large vehicle.
Yeah.
Going sideways on a two-wheeled motorcycle is not.
No, you're not going to do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I have the
guy from Holden is still going to run you over and not notice.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's going to put his lifted truck T-boned right into mine just because he's having a fit about how, emasculated he feels at all times. But at least he will less likely kill me by doing that.
Yeah.
But I've told the story here before that a young woman ran me off the road on 290 for no reason at all. She just like was upset that she couldn't speed fast. I don't know. I still am not sure what happened. And just ran me off the road. Like, people are fucking wilding, and I can't, we're long overdue to do something about it. And I'm glad, hopefully, that we will tonight. We'll see.
Yeah.
I really truly think that someone's going to try and rat fuck it, but nice. Let us know, Antifa, what it looks like down there. There's usually good turnouts for stuff like this ahead of council meetings. It's fun when they do it inside because that front hall fills up so fast and it feels crazy in there. So hopefully a lot of people are there and stick around for public comment. Yeah, got the debate tonight. Just been doing the work. Every time I get a fundraising text, I'm writing back Free Palestine to it. Then now I'm getting responses from people.
How's that going?
It's going well. They always just write back, "Thanks for letting me know. I'll be sure to pass this along." And then I wrote today. I know this is an automated response, but I really do hope that someone reads this at some point because, it sucks that we're aiding and abetting a genocide, in my opinion. And I would like to vote for somebody that doesn't do that. So they're definitely not getting my money. They could still, I guess, earn my vote if they stopped that. But it wasn't. I wrote something back essentially to that effect, and then somebody did actually write back like, "Hey, I actually am a real somebody actually does check these, and we'll pass it along." I was like, "Okay, thanks. I guess. Good luck." Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, most of those services do have somebody somewhere in the pipeline. I mean, just to make sure that they're not missing like somebody who's live actually offering to volunteer, or
right,
because they
or like threatening to show up.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's like because a lot of the people that get those are like older folks that like
Right.
they're having conversations with them,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll hold
Right.
a sign somewhere," right? It's like,
Right,
"Oh, we're
right.
funny. Send you a link." It's
Yeah, I don't know. I'm morbidly curious about tonight. I don't know how you feel about it.
just morbid.
Yeah. It's gonna be insane. No matter what happens, it's going to be insane. And I hope we get out in time to watch it, but if we don't, then I'm also fine with that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be wild. It should be wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
There is, if they stick to their plan of like dumping mics, that's going to piss me off because I feel like this is a replay of 2016 more so than 2020, where it's almost like the general like tone of the media is like, this guy is worth a lot of fucking advertising dollars. We got to get him to say some wild ass shit and keep him going as long as we possibly can. And they're almost seem like they're doing a favor by not putting out the crazy.
Right.
I don't know. We've talked about this in the past, man. Elections like this are won by the 10% of Americans who make up their mind as they're walking into a polling place, which sounds crazy to the other 90% of Americans, but
it's true. And especially this one is going to be the 10% of people that decide that day to walk into a polling place. Like, this is the most turnout election of all turnout elections. And yeah, there's like where it's going to be 40,000 votes spread over 2 states, and that'll be the difference. And it's going to be morbid. We can't stream the debate because it's on ABC and we're not allowed to show broadcast sources besides like public access, and I think we can show C-SPAN or something like that. But if it was online, we might be able to, but because it's ABC, we'll get dinged for it. So we encourage everyone to, if you need to step away to watch it, then do that.
Oh yeah, do that. Listening to Worcester City councilors talk about placement of pickleball courts, you can catch up on that.
I got a feeling that they're going to go out of order to take the speed limit stuff early if they need to, and then if they want to, maybe I don't know, maybe they'll make a motion to suspend. There's also something about going into executive session tonight.
Oh, really?
About the WPI stuff.
Oh yeah, that's
Candy put in an order,
she wants an executive. This one is. I was reading the actual quoted language there. All legal avenues the city of Worcester can take against WPI.
Right.
It's like this is one of those places, one of those times where I feel like the city of Worcester really needs to check the quality of its legal team, because you're like threatening an institution whose endowment is bigger than your annual budget.
Right.
That's
in a deal that is with BlackRock Capital. Like we're not gonna win that.
Language like that just makes you look like a terrible, awful fucking human being. Yeah, and of course it's Candy, so not to be surprised. But yeah,
I mean, like, listen, we obviously we've talked about it. Like nobody. I don't want to see those hotels go away. Nope. It was funny. I was talking to my brother today that lives in New Orleans, and when he brings friends up every year for like the hot dog safari or different things, and they always stay at those hotels. They're great. They're so convenient. It's obviously anecdotal, but like everyone I know that comes into town ends up staying at those hotels. Losing those, like he was super bummed about when I told him what was going on with it, and losing those, like, it sucks, and it's pretty galling that like the city and WPI are in this like partnership on that area of town, and they just went ahead and did it with like seemingly like sneakily because they knew that the city was going to be pissed about it. That sucks. I agree.
Yeah. 100%.
But the only thing it does is make the city government look like fucking fools for like getting played. Like you're not going to swing your weight around now. Like you don't have a fucking leg to stand on. Like you fucked up.
Zero. That's
you
it.
like, you gave him the keys to do shit like this, and then you're getting pissed when they do it. And
yeah,
you can do you want to get back at him, fine. Like, let's talk about that. But like, yeah, you're not gonna threaten them.
At worst, it shows that the new leadership at WPI has a terrible ability to read the room. It speaks nothing to their right to buy property like any other fucking entity.
Right.
Like that's
right.
Yeah, I mean, just such bizarre language coming out of the city for something that's otherwise so trivial. I mean, WBI has bought half of that region. The only thing they haven't bought over there is a funeral home, Ralph's, and a public park.
Right.
And those are probably on the list.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So, Bob Kraft's company bought Rainbow Furniture. I'm assuming as like to get in on the deal to sell it to WPI eventually. Like they're not looking to operate that building long term.
Store soccer balls there.
Hey, listen, if they want to tear it down and build a soccer stadium there, like fine by me. You know, Steve's already fucked over Polar Park, so might as well get a major league team in. But yeah, I don't. I think that the death warrant for that whole stretch was signed the day that they created that business, that corridor. And I'm much more concerned about Ralph's than this is my angle for Ralph's. We need to figure out how to save the diner itself, because it's not staying. Like the bar is not staying. There's no angle in it for Vincent to like fight off WPI.
Right.
It's, unless you're not going to get that thing on the National Historic Register. So it's going to go away. So it's all about saving the actual diner car, I think.
Yeah.
And figuring out where to put it, connecting it to a different bar, or I assumed that this was what we were gonna get a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, this is it's their own fault. They held it. I also think that they're gonna hold the item, regardless who is there to speak on it, how many people will speak on it. People still will. But I think Mo or George is gonna hold the item. Maybe Kate. So I don't know if we're even gonna get the vote on it tonight. We'll have to see.
Well, you and I should go ahead and vote on it then, Brian.
All right. You want you go ahead? Do you vote yay or nay?
I think it depends on the language.
Okay, it's English.
Oh, well then, yeah.
I'm gonna vote no. Okay. Because I'm a contrarian at heart. Okay. So.
Well, just keep at it for another 20 years then.
Let's see there. Yeah, not live yet. I think. Oh, here we go. We at least got the screen up now. Let's see. That's not what I want to do. That's not loaded. Great. What else? Oh, there's also an item on the agenda about the tunnel. What the plan is for the tunnel now that the building's officially in development next door, the old Vogue, correct?
Yeah.
Do we think that they're going to just tear it out?
Just fill it with cement.
Disappointing. I understand not using it for traffic anymore because there's no way that they can do that development and keep that structurally sound.
I wish they'd keep it too, man. I was Montreal last week. I mean, have you ever walked through like the Montreal Underground? Like,
I haven't, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's just super cool. The idea to have something like that is absurd. There's no reason for it to exist. You have a perfectly fine fake European city up above ground, but hey, look, I can walk like 20 miles of it underground. It's like a big shopping mall. Like, yes, Worcester should do that too.
They should. Yeah, but
we'll just have hot dogs all winter long. It'll be
let's honestly
shirts and shorts.
Like this city, people could do. Like we could have cool stuff in there. Like somebody will come up with cool stuff to do in there. And if it doesn't have to be every weekend, it doesn't have to be all the time, but having it there would be nice.
Yes.
And it's a shame that
you could tell all the new college students that's where you get the elevator or the city subway. Right. That'll be fun. We'll just sit there and laugh at them all every fall.
Dude, what was your like school story about like the tunnels
for me?
Yeah, did you ever get that at any of your
at Forest Grove there was an elevator thing, and I think there was a swimming pool thing at St. John's when I started there. I feel like there was something at St. John's that
there was some. What was the pool thing? Because wasn't there actually a pool behind the, like, what was that the back building where there was
that little stone. Used to be like a residence down there. Yeah, I don't think they ever had a pool down there. They may have.
I think that was the story, is that there's supposedly an indoor pool there or something like that.
Oh. Yeah, my freshman year there, my memory is super fractured. I don't know. That was a jarring experience for me. I don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah. Fuck St. John's. Yeah. Is there a middle school there now?
Yeah.
Crazy.
They're packed.
Yeah.
Packed.
12G, that's cool. I mean, South Mom, I'm gonna be interested. We're probably never gonna get to it again. I really do think that they're gonna hear an hour and a half of public comment, and then they're going to fucking bail.
Molly, is there still anything open in the basement of the Midtown Mall? I remember there used to be stuff you could wander around down there.
Well, last time I was in there, they were doing a bunch of work on this. They were remodeling like all the spaces down there.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they're hoping to. Supposedly, there's a restaurant going up on the roof. I don't know. Looks like they're about to start.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Worcester City Council meeting. If you can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star Spangled
Banner. Everybody here okay? Oh, they changed the seating arrangement again.
That's weird.
Pledging allegiance now? They're not. Are they doing both? Do they do the Pledge of Allegiance all the time? I thought they just do the Star Spangled Banner.
These folks are so weird.
Shut up, losers. I can't do it. Now they're playing it. I can't get the closed captioning to work. I'm gonna try it again.
You doing it via Facebook?
Yeah, there it is. Now it's working. They're singing the national anthem right now. You guys don't care. America's fake. I think I should actually. You know what? I'm gonna comment that on their stream. See if I can generate some outrage. See if I can get any negative feedback on that. Yeah, I'm the thing I can't figure out is how they plan on not only doing the traffic safety stuff tonight in executive session. I think they punt like half the agenda, honestly.
George, I love this idea. If you're going to speak at council, you have to sing at least one refrain of the start of the national anthem. on camera. I'm sorry, I didn't even notice the June request. I'll see if I can get up here later. June's she's like almost like full-size dog now, so it's kind of, I don't want to throw my back out here, but we'll
Roll call.
we'll see what we can do.
Roman's
Here.
good.
Councilor
He's
Here.
sleeping on the
Councilor
couch
G.
right now.
Councilor King.
He
Councilor Carlson.
recently rediscovered
Councilor
his
Here.
pumpkin
Councilor
squeaky
Hader.
toy, and
Here.
he's
Councilor
really
Pacillo.
excited about it.
Councilor
Just
Russell.
he's getting
Here.
in the spirit of the
Councilor Toomey.
season.
Here.
Mayor Petty.
Here.
So he spent the entire day throwing it to himself in the
Councilor
backyard.
Berman has asked for a moment's silence for Barry Kroc, who's a longtime business person in the city of Worcester and donated a lot of his time.
Sit down, Fred. We're doing a moment of silence. Oh wait, we're just doing a standing moment of silence. I guess that's more respectful. He doesn't really notice the big skeleton. I'm worried when he does. Last Christmas, we were at my brother's house, and my brother has a deer head.
July 16th.
When they bought the house, there was a
All those
deer
in
head
favor?
up on the wall, and they
Opposed?
just left
Ordered.
it.
We have
And
public
like 4 hours
participation.
into Christmas
Participation
Day,
for no more than 2 minutes.
Roman
Any
noticed it.
item on the
It's literally
agenda.
like 10 feet up
Try
on
to
the-
adhere to 2 minutes. We have a long
wall.
agenda tonight.
And he
He's gonna
finally
watch the
noticed it,
debate,
and then
so
just started
we are.
barking like crazy,
Thank
thinking
you.
that it was a deer
Fred Nathan Worcester.
in the house, and
Yes,
tried to kill it.
On 8
So,
July,
yeah, I'm curious once he realizes what the
auditory,
skeleton is, what
of
how he's going
pedestrian,
to react to it.
signals.
So far, he
I
hasn't
think you
noticed.
should actually have them everywhere. Because there might be people that are deaf that cannot pick up right off the bat that the lights are saying go. There are a lot of items here on the
I think I don't know.
on the idea.
We'll probably still
of
be
changing
going
the speed
potentially
limit.
when the debate starts.
So,
we can't show it.
I
but
want to give
we
you
can talk about it.
an
If we're still
analogy
going.
here. If you have a problem with rats, well, you build,
Fred's doing analogies.
you put out.
Is
a
he
rat
shaving
trap.
that mustache? Is
I
this
was
new?
gonna say,
Don't
he's doing
bait
handlebar
the rat
mustaches now
traps.
too.
Wow.
Nothing's going to happen. So, you want to change the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Hey, sounds great. I don't know how many people are going to follow it. It would be nice if everybody followed it. We probably would be a safer city. But I just don't think it's going to happen because of one big reason here.
Ooh, say something racist.
Over the last few years, this city council and members of it, certain ones, they had to defund the police.
Oh.
And some councilors did not want to, some members of the police force did not
Brian,
want to
remind me,
deal
how much
with
did
all
we
the
defund the police
aggravation
department?
and all the
Tons. We
stuff that was
took
thrown at
away
them, literally
negative
thrown at
2
them,
million from them.
and
I
they
think.
have retired.
We
The
added-
average age of a police officer right now is down from what it has obviously been, but henceforth, we have not really hired that many cops in here. So, if you,
I'm just thinking how awesome it would be like if
I think
Attell
at one time the
just
matter
sat
had
there with like a
maybe
Nerf
50,
gun,
60
like shooting him in the
officers
face with darts
patrolling
while
the
he was
streets.
talking.
Okay,
streets
can
and
you wrap
making
up your
sure.
comments, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. I would never go along here. But you need enough officers because they're all chasing around, going to shots being fired, chasing around, going to bank robberies,
Okay,
pizza people being held up.
Pizza people.
thank you.
There's not
That's-
enough
they're called
time to
Italians,
have
I
an
appreciate it.
officer
Thank you.
right
Please.
cite somebody.
Thank
you.
So,
Please.
Mr. Mayor, would you please hire some more cops and
Okay.
make our acting chief
Thank you.
permanent? It's
Thank you.
about time. It's been 1 year.
Wow. Just
What's your name, see your residence?
virulent
Hi, Oliver
anti-Italian American
Worcester.
racism from
I
Fred
would like to
Nathan.
support items 11A and 17A, the adoption of the 25 mile per hour speed limit and the 20 mile per hour safety zones. I think all of you have heard me speak about this before. To me, the case for 25 miles per hour is unassailable. It has a proven benefit in the form of reducing dangerous speeds over 35 miles per hour. Like in Boston, it reduced those speeds to 29%, and in Portland, it reduced them to 47%. And it doesn't materially increase travel times. In Boston, there was a 0.3% increase, so functionally none. Just to address an issue that came up last time, I've talked to a great many people about this, nobody is saying this is going to be a panacea, like this is going to fix everything. It will help the situation, but it is not sufficient. We should also be funding physical changes to the roads through the DTM's Vision Zero plan and requesting our
Petty,
state
I'm
reps and
begging you
senators
to
pass
back off the
legislation to allow
microphone and stop
automated
breathing into
enforcement of
it.
speeding, red lights, and people passing school buses, among other interventions. To those concerned about enforcement, currently in the 30-mile-per-hour
Antifa,
zones,
can
the
you-
police are required
are
to
you gonna do
trail a
public
suspect
comment?
for an eighth of a mile in their
I
cruisers
don't know if you
to
have your
confirm
sound
that
on
30
right
miles
now, so
an
I'm gonna
hour is
take.
being exceeded over this distance. This is a legal requirement from the state. If we adopt 17C, which would allow us to have the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, our police will be allowed to do
Ooh,
spot
Brian, here's an
LiDAR
idea. What
checks,
if we kept
which
the
is
tunnel,
vastly more efficient.
but we had
So
that as
even
like
if we
a
had no
like that
additional
would be our
officers,
Autobahn.
which is not true. We're gonna
No
get
speed
some,
limit in the tunnel.
we would get a significant enforcement
And like
bonus
we'd only
for
let like
moving
1 or 2
25
people in at a
miles
time.
per
Like you
hour.
can't like
Yeah.
we're not gonna just it's not gonna be a free for all.
Lastly, we should absolutely adopt 25-mile-per-hour city
quarter
highway,
mile.
not street
You
by
could pay,
street.
we could like raise money,
The
be like
point is that we're
$25,
updating the
drive as
default
fast
speed
as you want.
Do
limit.
splits?
And there's
Yeah.
no sense to leaving
do
any roads
contests?
that are more dangerous and more difficult to enforce
Antifa,
30 miles per
please,
hour standards.
please, when you do public
And we
comment,
don't need to be
please, pretty
arguing
please,
here
when
for
you do public
decades, for the
comment.
next decades
Oh,
over every single
please,
street in
and go up
Worcester
there and do a
and making
little
a
like
confusing
signal
mess
to
of
us.
different
Like,
standards.
just go up and say like,
Please pass 11A
I
and
support-
17A. Thank you very much.
I support passing 11A and 17A,
Thank
and
you.
then say Worcestery Council Theatre 3000 gang, and then
Hi,
leave.
good evening.
I'm
Melissa
begging you.
Verdier,
I'm
37
begging
Dixfield
you.
Road, Worcester. I'm here speaking
All
on
I
behalf
want,
of the
that's the
EAW.
breakthrough that we
I am the
need, is
president
some
of the
people to start
Educational
at
Association
public
of Worcester.
comment, start shouting out the
Last
show.
week, I
That's
had brought
what we
the
really need to start
resolution
like
for the yes
jumping
on
up to the
two
next level.
MCAS. And I want to thank you, Mayor Petty, because you put that on the agenda for the city council tonight. And I really appreciate that. I want to just make clear something that was confused at school committee, is that this has nothing to do with standards.
Yeah, what's
The
another
standards of
word for
of
that?
what
For
students are learning are
packs
not
of police
changing. The only
officers.
thing that's changing is the graduation requirement.
Gang? A
So
gang?
what I had said at school committee,
Maybe
and
they
I
like
will repeat
flock
again,
better.
you get to hear it twice, is I
Oh, yeah,
taught
flock of
juniors and
assholes.
seniors for a long time, and I would have kids who had to take that test sophomore year and they did not pass it, although they did have the capabilities, they just didn't test well. And then they'd have to take it again twice junior year and twice senior year. And then on top of that, a lot of our students have our ELL students as well, so they take the access testing.
Mr. Antifa,
So
how
it's
many
just a way
people
of
look like they're down there to
limiting
speak?
the amount of testing that students are taking.
Yeah.
Standards are
We're
still
going to
going
start
to be
placing
held
bets on how long
high.
we're going to be here.
I've been out of the classroom for a little while, but I'll tell you, I always looked at what parts of each standard that my students didn't do well on.
What are
and
we
those were
putting the
focuses
over
that we
under
had
at?
in class. So I don't think it's going
50?
to change education. I think it's just going to change.
I'm not
the
really a great
graduation
better, and I don't
requirement
know
and
how
make it
odds
so
work.
that we have
Okay.
less
All right.
students drop out. I will tell you, as a special educator for over 20 years, when students would fail that test as sophomores,
pretty
they would
good
say, I think I'm
number
going
of
to drop out
speakers.
in this because I don't see this happening. for
I'm
me."
happy it's not.
And, you know,
50.
I've had other times where I've had seniors in my class crying because they didn't pass and all they really wanted to do is a diploma. And I am almost out of time, so I'm going to stop there. But thank you, and I really appreciate it being on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Does your name say your residence, not item number?
Hi, my name's Melinda Martin. I'm a resident of Worcester, and I'm speaking on the number 13 resolution as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for supporting that with school committee.
This is going to
and
be
for
one of
bringing
those
it forth
jarring
here.
public
I'm a
speaking.
paraeducator in the
So
city
we're
of
gonna go from
Worcester.
traffic
I'm also the
to
ESP
kids,
chair, educational
pickleball.
support professional for the
It's going to be all over
EAW.
the place.
I work with a lot of paraeducators who work with students who do not speak English as their first language, and to
Anybody
have
know if that
them
house down
take
in
a
Sandwich
test
that's been
in
on
a
the market
language
for like a
that's
year and a
foreign to
half
them
because they can't
and
sell
not
it because the
pass it
pickleball
and
courts
not get
next
a
door
diploma is
hasn't sold
unfair
yet?
to the students.
Does Sandwich are born.
It's just simply not something that we should be
Good
judging
question.
students on and giving them a certificate of attendance versus a diploma when they're doing all the coursework.
Sagamore. Okay.
So I do appreciate that
Who
you're
would wanna
supporting
live there
this, and I
anyways?
hope that the city council will also support voting yes on 2 and simply taking the graduation requirement, passing in grade 10 off. Again, there will still be MCAS, there will still be high standards. Massachusetts is one of the best states for
Oh, that's
education. So
interesting. I didn't
we're
know that.
simply asking that the graduation requirement from grade 10 be removed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Idella Hazard, City of Worcester. I see on 17A, the city manager did his homework and checked with Chapter 90 and is recommending that it should be reduced to 25 miles an hour, establish safety zones and 20 miles per hour limits. Let's see.
Wow.
And the business
Ain't so fun.
districts. And
great.
within thickly settled areas.
All right.
I want to
Can
commend the city
somebody send
manager.
Matt a message
I
and
really
ask
do.
him
I think it's
to
fantastic.
give a shout out
We've
to
been coming
to the
forward.
stream
People
on
of the
public
city
comment.
very concerned. And
I'm a simple
he is
man.
listening. Now we have to get it off of paper and put it out in the city with signage and enforcement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to the Commenters Union, Local 69.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Nicole Belanger, and I live in the West Tatnick area of Worcester. I'm speaking in support of item 12D. I want to thank those of you who have come to my neighborhood. I know Councilor King, Councilor Calorio, Councilor Hajii, you guys have all helped us to feel like we've been heard by the city. And I'm asking the city to join neighbors and asking Mass DOT to do some short-term signage and safety measures on the stretch of Route 122, or also known as Pleasant Street, between the Tatnick Square and the Paxton line. And also, I'm asking you guys, especially specifically the city manager, as it's noted on the agenda, to ask the DOT to have a public meeting to talk about the state's proposed long-term redesign of the area. I've been advocating for this issue since one of my neighbors was unfortunately killed walking to church from our street right across from the airport rotary in 2017. And also in 2021, a community meeting was held after Silas, whose mom's joined us again to have to recount what's a really traumatic incident for her family and our neighborhood, and of course her son. He was hit by a distracted driver while exiting his school bus and was severely injured for many months in the hospital. In response, Mass DOT did have a quarter-mile bike lane put in from the rotary to the Paxton line. And we were told at that time that improvements on the rest of the street down to Tatnick Square would come by 2024. I recently spoke with DOT, and that timeline looks like it's been postponed until 2027 for completion. Hopefully even that's quite far off, and we know these things are delayed. So this is a long time to wait. And in the meantime, I'm hoping that short-term measures like better signage, enforcement, and other things that are sorely needed can happen and be forced and kind of emphasized by the city. And also, we need a solid long-term plan yesterday. This is, ongoing. In my conversations with Mass DOT, it seems like there is, there is the will there, but I think we need a unified voice from the city and state delegations to move this forward. There's a laundry list of death and serious injuries from the dangerous
just happens
conditions
when you
there.
make
There are many
eye
delays,
contact
and quick
with Donna
action is
Calorio.
needed
You gotta
for
be
the
really
safety of those
careful.
who live and travel in the area.
That's all I got
So I'm
tonight.
asking you as a city, and especially the city manager.
Is it
and the
tinnitus or
Department of
tinnitus,
Transportation
Brian?
and Mobility
I
to
say
really look
tinnitus,
at
but a lot of people say
the neighborhood where I live, where I raised my child.
Language
where
is
I have
prescriptive,
my
not
neighbors,
descriptive.
and to ask
Descriptive,
you to
not prescriptive.
work to
Say whatever the fuck
work
you
with the
want.
state who has jurisdiction over this
Thank you.
road to create the same kind of safety conditions that we're considering for other statewide
Thank you.
improvements, city improvements. Thank you.
Hello, Jacob Seidel, City of Worcester, here to speak in support of items 11A and 17A.
Ooh, we got a Rob
thanks to the
Bellata
Traffic
sighting.
Parking
Do I
Committee for
see?
their
Do I
recommendation.
spy with my
This is
little
long
eye,
overdue,
Mr.
and
Rob
it's the
Bellata?
first step, one of many that we need to take. When we're operating within the Vision Zero framework, we know that there's 3 E's: the enforcement, the education, and the engineering. And we're operating in education and enforcement right now. It's an obvious step that we really need to take. I'm really looking forward to seeing some engineering changes in the future and to the city following through on Vision Zero and the Mobility Action Plan. And that's all I'll say for today.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Stewart. I live on Lovell Street in District 5 in Worcester. I'm also the minister at First Unitarian Church, and I'm here to encourage your support of both the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit and 20-mile-per-hour safety zones. Speaking first as a minister of a downtown church, I have parishioners who come to my church by foot, on the
Has anyone
bus,
been
in
into
wheelchairs,
that Unitarian church?
and we have many children
love
involved
that.
in the church, and these are all
It's
people
a
who are
beautiful
put at
building.
risk by high speed and dangerous driving in the city. I want all of them to be safe and be treated as fair users of the city's roads and sidewalks, and slower speed limits will help protect their well-being. But speaking personally, I have a husband who commutes to work on foot. I have children who ride bikes in the city. Children, of course, can't be drivers and are forced to get around in other ways. And whenever they're out on busy roads, doing something like trying to cross Chandler Street at a crosswalk or crossing a street on a bike with a red light, it's still nerve-wracking because of how fast people drive, because of the rampant red light running in the city, because of people's disregard of
That's why Kate's
pedestrians
always
and
sleeping.
crosswalks and children getting on and
Boring.
off of school buses. I believe the experts who say that this won't make driving times much slower in Worcester. It seems to me like the red lights make us stop fairly frequently driving around Worcester. But if driving is difficult in Worcester, I think we can address that in other ways by increasing our bus service, by encouraging polite
Brendan, do you
driving
know who
that
the
supports
MacBook
the
guy is?
safety of everybody, by creating better bike
no.
lanes. And I hope that all of that is in the city's plan for the future. So I support this move to make our city safer for all residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Bellotta, District 2. Just speaking in support of item 11A and 17A, we're asking council to vote in favor of lowering the speed limits. It's something that the community has made abundantly clear that we support. Your constituents have made it abundantly clear over the past few months that this is an ordinance that can help. No one's saying that this is going to completely resolve traffic violence in the city, but it's a great piece of the puzzle, a tool in the toolbox to make sure that our roads are safer, that our neighborhoods are more walkable. We're seeing also WPD increased traffic enforcement and the school bus enforcement. These are all great things that are really going to lead to safer streets in our community. We've seen over the past few months, unfortunately, there's been many tragic examples of pedestrian accidents. It is a challenge for Worcester, particularly in District 2. So I think there's more we can do, and this is a great start. So I want to just encourage the City Council to vote in favor for this. This is a win for Worcester, really, and this is a great way of showing to our community, to your constituents, that you take traffic safety seriously and that we're moving in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, Rob. I'm so glad that you're there, Antifa. This is really great.
Karen Valentine Goins, Worcester resident.
We got a whole nother year.
Items 11A and 17A.
And then we can vote for Rob Bellotta.
Statutory
Get him over the
speed
top.
limit Citywide, as well as allow 20-mile-an-hour safety zones. This has been very long, too long in process, and I urge you to get this done now. The recent crashes are the terrible consequence of a street network decades behind in protecting.
Yeah, I always forget that
proposals in front of you are common
the schools
sense,
get out at like 2
low-cost
o'clock,
first
and
step
I
in
can't leave my
improving
house.
safety. Last week at
Because of
Traffic
burnout.
Parking, interim chief, police chief Saucier
a couple of my
made
classes
police department
are
supports, not just supports, but
are
strongly
midday
policies.
now around
And
either I'm
DTA
either
made
getting
clear
in
that
or
all
getting
but a
out,
handful
and
of small
it's like 45 minutes to get over
citywide and not by
the West
street.
Wilson Street.
The public has spoken up in multiple ways, multiple
Yeah, it's
times
nuts.
to show a majority of residents understand and support them.
And part of me feels like that's one of the things that's making the streets like
Enforcement
less
alone will
safe.
not
Like
slow
it's hard
speeds.
not to get enraged,
sense,
like
we
when
can
you're
move on to
when you know
creating
you're 5 minutes away from your destination, but it's going to take you 30 minutes to get there.
I attended all three.
And it's
Region Zero
most of
walk
that
audits
traffic is
yesterday, and
parents
I'll do
like
the 2 more on
the one
Thursday.
I know.
And I really
Flag
compliment
Street
those
Elementary
leaders
School is
for
my favorite
asking
one, where it's like
participants to focus
they
not
have
just on
so
the
many like
specific
no
flaws of the
signs
roads
that
in front of them,
specifically
but how
say no
solutions
parking
can
on school
apply to
days,
streets across
and
the
it's
city.
just
I was really happy to
hundreds
see
of
the number
cars.
counselors and city staff
And
there.
they a lot
really
of
have
people
to
picking their
experience
kids up
the
drive like
hostility and
fucking
the danger of our
psychopaths.
roadways outside of
Like
vehicle
the amount of
firsthand
people
to
that
understand
while you're
why
driving
we can
down
change
Burncoat
So
Street
I look forward to
past
seeing you
Burncoat
pass the
High
speed limit
that are illegally parked on the side of the
And then
road
I
to pick
invite
up their
everyone
kids,
here
and then
and
just
across the
pulling
city
into
to
traffic as
participate
soon
in the
as
Week Without Driving
their kid
Challenge,
their
September
kid jumps in the
30 to
car
October
after
6th.
crossing not at a
This
crosswalk.
initiative was started in Washington State by
I feel
one
like these are all the
Anna
people that
Zigart,
use the term
mom and
precious
a
cargo
person
to
with
describe their
vision.
children. And what they mean by that is, you can all fucking die. Just stay away from my kid. Don't even look at my kid.
CAC will participate and Walk Bike Worcester is a local partner. So consider this a request, if not pressure, to get around with a vehicle for at least one day
Yeah.
if you can't commit to the
I couldn't
week.
even
And make sure
guess
it's a day when you have to get places
what that
and
would
not
be
just stay
or where
home,
you'd find
and
it.
use your feet, human-powered wheels, and transit to get where you need to go. I guarantee it will change your perspective, and then tell others the story of what that day was like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I have some handouts. I don't know if it's possible to hand them out.
The clerk will grab them from you.
My name is Patricia Hobbs. I live in Worcester, and I'm a member of the Green Island Residents Group. And I'm here to speak on item 12J, an order requested by Councilor Ojeda. This order highlights the need for community involvement at inception at plan developments and respect for neighborhoods and their needs. Most recently, our Green Island neighborhood was involved in a community meeting, which was not very productive. It took all of 2 years of meetings after meetings to finally see the design plans. If we had been made a partner in the process and were aware of the intent of this developer from the outset, then our responses to their designs and scale of the structure would not be labeled by them as being overly reactionary or them thinking of us as being opponents to change. The process of getting an abutters notice occurs most often after the fact, after an architectural firm has been paid to draw up the plans, after the developer has decided what they think is best for our neighborhood. It would be far more efficient if the neighbors could share in the initial vision and offer tweaks to satisfy the overall needs of their own neighborhood, which they know so well. The Commonwealth's sustainable development principles were designed for smart growth, and they are an overlay of a more gentle and reasonable approach to gentrification. These state that the Commonwealth will be partnership with regional and municipal governments, as well as other stakeholders, and I, as a resident, feel like I am one of those stakeholders. A very poignant principle which speaks directly to the need for this proposed order is number 2, which states it will provide technical and strategic support for inclusive community planning and decision-making to ensure social, economic, and environmental justice. Number 6 states to foster the development of housing in a way that is compatible with the community's character and the community's vision. It has been a very grueling process for our neighborhood to debate the word
DM that to the
with the
Instagram
developer
account.
in relation to our own community's vision. This is because there was no inclusive community planning and decision-making involved in the early stages of the process. And very quickly, the attached quote on the second page made by Ed Augustus has 2 important words. They are "we all." He was not using the royal we as meaning the city alone, but spoke more to a partnership of all the parties involved. Ed knew there were possibilities and had the vision for a neighborhood to be involved in the decision-making process up front at the point where a developer might purchase a
Can you wrap
property
up your
and
comments,
state
please?
their intent. I hope you'll consider all these points to support the approval of the proposed order. Thank you very much.
What's your name, city residents?
Matthew No, resident of Worcester.
Matthew.
I wanted to come speak again in support of, I believe it's 11A and 17A, the ordinance to reduce the speed limit to 25 citywide all at once rather than trying to do it piecemeal. I think the decade might have been generous. We'd be here for a long time doing that piece by piece. And particularly the slower 20-mile-per-hour safe zones would be great to see. And I'd like to see more from council and DPW about what that might look like. I imagine school zones are a part of this, but I'm also thinking about the area around Union Station and the bus hub. It is incredibly difficult to safely cross the street there at high traffic times. I petitioned about trying to lengthen the length of the crosswalk. Everyone is speeding through. That's a very high traffic area for cars and for pedestrian. And is like the main.
I think you're
hub
absolutely
for
right, Molly,
around
with
Steve
that. And
Bar.
that's
It should be a little safer.
kind of what I
around.
guess I was getting. I think we have this problem where there's like this really weird feedback loop that started over the last 20 years
one piece of the
as we
puzzle.
really
We
changed
should
like
reduce the
security
speed
culture
limits. We
around
should,
schools and like the whole country
investigate
post
maybe
September 11th.
non-police ways of enforcement.
Like parents
If
are all
we're struggling to
terrified about
hire
letting their kids
traffic
out of their sight.
police, maybe there are,
As a result, there's more
civilian
cars on the
options
road
for approaching
constantly.
this problem that can be explored either
So
locally
like the kids,
or
the only
through
people
state
left walking
legislature.
are the kids who don't have anyone
I'll
that's
end
able to pick them
by,
up, drive them everywhere
I
they
think I
go.
raised this last week.
But as a
It's-
result, you end up
it's
with way
strange
more
to me at
cars
12
that are
F to
way
go
more
into an
likely to pick off
executive
the 1 or 2
session
people that
to
are left
talk
as
about
pedestrians.
legal options against a
So we're at a
university
point now, Worcester, where
while
like
we continue to
pedestrians are the
privilege
odd
private
thing.
developers.
It's like,
So if we're gonna do these
I just
kinds
walked
of,
down
we want to
Times
question
Square from my
use of
house
tax
today.
funds and
I'm all
taking
alone
money
out
off
there,
of the
like a
tax
beautiful,
roll, we should
beautiful
do it
morning. There's
across
like
the board, not just target
all by
one
yourself. It's
instance where
I'm
we're
watching
unhappy.
neighbors like driving past me just to go to the same place I am.
Right.
It's we just walk we drive everywhere now.
Good
But it's again, it's like a feedback
evening. My
loop.
name is
It's
Ruth
really hard to break.
Auguste, retired teacher. And I had the honor of being the first school
Great comments
community
from Matt.
liaison for the Worcester bilingual program. And I've been in the city working for justice for our students. Now, I am appealing to you about this MCAS, and I just want to share with you the danger of this. You all know ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. In one of the retreats, they learned that public education money was a wide range for them to make profit. They went to our legislature and demanded that they turn our public school into charter school and the test and all that stuff, making money, taking money away from the needed school to profit. In fact, Bill Gates launched the campaign for them with a documentary, Waiting for Superman. Imagine a profession that's majority women. Now we need a Superman to come and save us. I am sharing this with you because for me, it hurts my heart to see what this test has done to my community. I served on the Harvard School Division pipeline, and a Suffolk County judge testified that since the MCAS became a high school requirement, he witnessed a rise of youth in his board, over 200%, the majority of Black and Latino, and over 95% have failed the test. We know, educators, the install where we learn how to teach, and now we have some corporate person telling you how to teach our children with a
Can you wrap up your comments?
with a test. I am asking the city to take this step and show Governor Haley how this city really believes in protecting our children. And I'm going to say about the races.
Thank
The
you.
only district on the state receivership based on the MCAS are all majority Latino student population, and they've been trying to take over Worcester. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
That's I'm not even
Ruth, thank you.
taking out because of denying the test.
Ruth,
Let
thank
me
you.
just say this. Our mother asked me once to come and help her son because he failed the test and he wanted to drop out. And
Thank you,
I'm
Ruth.
sitting in the kitchen
We
and
hear you.
he's saying, Mom,
It's important.
why am I going to keep going to school if I'm not going to
Just so
Ruth, thank you.
I thank
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you.
for supporting us.
Yep.
Hannah Weinstaff, a resident of Worcester in the Main South area, and also an educator in the Educators Association of Worcester. I want to thank Ruth for her tireless effort. She has been working on this issue for decades. And I want to just share, right? So 700 students a year are passing all of their high standard requirements, what makes our Massachusetts education amazing. But they're not passing the MCAS, and therefore they're not graduating. 700 students a year that are not able to fully participate in the economy and are going to struggle to be independent because of that. Let me tell you one story. I spoke with an educator today before I came. She's someone who supports multilingual students. She told me about a student that she has who has dyslexia. He is considered a level 3 student, so he struggles to read and write in English. But when she has conversations with this student, she said his vocabulary and his command of the language is at a college level. Today, he was talking about how in groups and out groups, the way that we use the language we versus they has incredible impact. And she had this intellectual conversation with the student who can't pass the MCAS and won't be able to graduate, won't be able to get a high school diploma. I think we know what makes Massachusetts great in terms of education. We have high standards. We had high standards even before these national standards came about, and we had high standards even before MCAS. But what MCAS has done is it's put millions into Pearson's pocket, and it's also made sure that our students have less opportunities in the school. We've had to make cuts and cost savings decisions based on a test that has nothing to do with how well students will perform. So I need y'all to understand two things. The standards are high, but MCAS is lowering it. Don't get it twisted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like her.
My name is
Anna's
Sienna
great.
Jatan Singh,
I don't think I know
37
them.
County Street. I support everything the
Um,
last two just spoke about, but I mainly came to
maybe
speak
not.
about the speed limits. I also
Went to
participated
Clark with
on the
Mairead.
last of the safety
Oh, cool.
audits yesterday with the walk on Lincoln Street. And
Well, yeah, I mean,
even
there's
walking on the
225,000
sidewalks,
people in the
it's not safe when
city.
you
I
have
don't, I
cars
don't claim to know them
speeding
all.
by. And then
Maybe
when you
a
have a
couple hundred.
crosswalk, that when you push
Haven't
the
met
button
that
to
one.
cross, while you have the right to walk, there's also green lights for the cars coming down Country Club Boulevard that are giving them also the right to drive through the crosswalk where people are supposed to be crossing. So even though that might not be an easy fix for you right now, reducing the speed limit to 25 is so that they can slow down enough to see, hey, there's a person in the crosswalk. Maybe I should let them cross before I run over them, because you guys have both of them having the right of way, the person walking across and the car having the green arrow at the same time. So I would support reducing to the speed limit 25, because I frequently walk around my neighborhood on Sunderland Road where we don't even have a sidewalk and we have blind curves and we have Japanese knotweed growing into the road. So you have to walk in the road because there's nowhere else to walk, but there's cars zooming by going around blind curves where I almost get hit walking every day.
Yeah, it's
So I
the
would
teachers
appreciate it if
union
we at least
for
have the
Worcester.
speed limit 25. One of my friend's business was run into. A car crashed from Grafton Street that was going probably 100 miles an hour on Grafton Street, hit another car coming down Dalton Street and crashed into her building on Grafton Street. Now, if they were going 25 miles an hour, they probably wouldn't have crashed into her building and hit her while she was working in her alteration shop. So I would appreciate it if you guys did reduce the speed limit across the whole city to 25 miles per hour. And no, I don't think it'll take you longer to get from point A to point B, because as somebody else already pointed out, we have stoplights all throughout the city too that do slow us down. So it's not going to make that much of an effect on the people that are already driving, but it will for the people that are walking, biking, riding in electronic wheelchairs, skateboards, scooters, and all those other people that are risking their lives trying to get around the city that don't drive a car. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Harold Bersani. I'm on Upland Street in Worcester, and I want to speak on 11A and 17A. I want to express a concern of an unintended consequence of making this change, and that is that it will divert traffic onto the city streets, the side streets. I say that because
Shut up,
if you use any
nerd.
map application today to get from point A to point B, it looks at distance and speed to calculate the fastest route. If all the routes are now the same speed, then it's going to map you onto side streets where it's not mapping you today, and you're going to move the problem to the communities. And I don't think that's what you're intending to do. And I would just ask that you consider
Because
that
numbered streets aren't impacted, the exact opposite should be true. But
Yeah.
this guy is probably an engineer for Google, so what do I know?
This guy's a
He's
fucking
probably just not
dumbass.
some guy who lives off Salisbury Street who's really, really anxious about strangers driving.
I wish. Did he say where he lives? I'd love to drive on his street.
Guardrails on Cambridge Street. I agree with Marie Montano that that could be a dangerous intersection and the
fuck that
children
guy.
should be protected. However, according to the expert from the city, a guardrail in this location would kill children. So I think people should watch the last.
Sorry,
traffic safety hearings,
Intifa.
especially when
I did
thinking
not see
about
that.
who might be
Yes, you should have
responsible and
moved.
negligent for any of the issues we're experiencing. 8GG8HH, yes. No to 8II, as I said in the traffic hearing, no to aggressive enforcement. As Chief Saucier said then, I'm sure there's a lot of white people that think police solve problems, but let's consider the data here. If enforcement helped this issue, it would have over the past years. 10B, new policies from the Parks Department. Seems about 2 decades overdue, but we're looking forward to seeing how equitable those aren't. 10G, yes, we need cooling
Bryan, I'll be
centers,
back
but we
in just a moment.
have to start thinking about warming centers. 11A, yes, of course, let's pass the 25-mile-per-hour limit. I
All
don't
right,
know
he's
how any
gone,
rational,
everybody.
intelligent person could be against
Solo
it or want to
time.
delay it,
Everyone
but
say
not
what you
street by
really
street.
think about
Let's
Brendan.
not do what you did to the rental registry to the street limits. Progress here has been held up long enough. Yes, on 13A, supporting remove graduation requirement from the grade 10. The MCAS has always been horrible. I probably wouldn't have passed it without lots of help at that time. Standardized testing is crap, and we can have a moment to actually take a stand against it. Yes to 12A. I think a dashboard that makes it clear to the general public that our city management has left the entire LGBTQ plus and African advisory committees empty for a few years would be helpful. Yes on 12D. No on 12F. I don't think the city should bully WPI in private. If we're going to trade firefighter gear for tax breaks, it should be in public. 12J could go badly with the way the city is run, but in general, meeting with developers before they impact a neighborhood would prevent a lot of the issues we're running into and some of the things we're discussing tonight. 12K, absolutely, those crosswalks are horrible and very frequently used. 12S, yes, way better than the alternative. 15D, what a vague, redundant agenda item. I wonder what the Economic Development Committee actually does. Thanks.
Next speaker, please.
Dale Wickenheiser, Ball Street in Worcester. You have a lot on the agenda. You do every week. You sit here. I come up here. I thank you. You know, even if I don't agree with you on the things you say. I've told you before. My wife and I moved here 8 years ago. We love
After I stopped touring with Everclear.
We wish we had moved here a long time ago. We were living outside of Boston, and the thing we liked about Worcester, you know, the mom and pop shops, people say it's a big city with a small town feel. We've gotten to know all of our neighbors. We've gotten to know a lot of other people in the city. In all of these changes, I'm here to, particularly the speed limit lowering, you know, I've had a few people tell me, they're like, well, the city keeps changing. Everything's changing. And I'm like, how do you make the city safer? All of the things you have, so many of the things in here, you know, are about quality of life, lowering the speed.
Oh my God, like, that's terrifying.
dropping the
I
MCAS.
hate seeing somebody trying to cross there.
These kinds
Like,
of things, you know, the rental registry. I think about when I was growing up and we used to ride our bikes all over. I grew up in Virginia.
It's also
How
really
many people
hard
I know
to
had
stop
that
for
same
somebody in the
experience,
crosswalk
right? You
there
came home when the
because it's
streetlights
scary
came on.
to.
Why doesn't anybody do that anymore?
If
Is
they
that
step out
because
into the
streets
street
aren't
when you
safe?
stop for them,
Social
4 other
norms
cars
have
aren't going to
changed,
stop for them.
right? How do we
I
make
never really know
Worcester
how to handle that.
that kind of nice community-oriented place again? How many of the things that you all have to deal with every week relate to that people are asking you, they want that again, right? I'd hate to think that in the effort to make things new and try to bring more money and maybe more people, myself included, to Worcester, we've lost the sense that it's okay to wear bell bottoms in this town.
What is this guy
without
talking about?
Anybody
Oliver,
criticizing you for that
Oliver
fashion decision?
is showing my feelings.
You can smoke here. I don't, but people do, right? There are things that
What is he
happen
talking
here
about?
that don't happen necessarily other places because Worcester is different. But can we make it safer and have a higher quality of life for the
Wrap up your
people that are
comments,
here?
please.
So thank you.
Thank you.
What do we have any idea what his position was or what item he was speaking to?
Good evening, Mayor Parody, members of the City Council. My name is Mike Kane. I'm from the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. Tonight, I'm here to testify, submit some testimony in
Antifa,
dissent
boo this guy.
to Resolution 13A, that the City Council supports the passage of Question 2 to place the MCAS graduation requirement. It is estimated that Massachusetts taxpayers contribute over $20 billion annually to invest in our public schools. Given the size and scale of their annual taxpayer investment, it is reasonable.
I think he was too, and I honestly
to have
do
a
not
uniform
know.
statewide assessment to ensure that our students have a baseline standard
The last guy, Brendan,
of achievement rather than
honestly, I
300
think he
public
was
school
pro
districts
lowering
throughout
the speed
Commonwealth
limits,
establishing
but he was
inequitable
talking about
assessments in high
you're
school
allowed to wear
graduation
bell bottoms here,
The
and that
establishment
you can
and
smoke in
implementation
Worcester.
of the
It
MCAS
was really a
as a
journey.
graduation requirement.
I missed that?
has made
Yeah,
Massachusetts
I'm
one
really
of the best
sorry.
K through 12 education systems in the country, corresponding to an increase in graduation rates and a decrease in dropout rates. As a state, we need to maintain a high education standard.
No, you don't have to take
to make sure our
MCAS
students
at
can
St.
graduate
John's.
with educational skills
No.
needed to allow them to work and compete in an ever-increasingly complex world economy. Already, a vast majority of students pass the MCAS on their first try. However, for those that don't, there are a variety of assistance measures to help them.
Hey, Brian, as an adult, any food that you will eat to the point that you're sick?
Testing and processes that include
Oh
cohort
yeah,
and portfolio appeals, are
almost
all
every
available to
food.
those who are unable to pass pass the test.
Uh,
Rather than eliminating the MCAS as a
they
graduation
at
requirement,
Target they
Commonwealth and
have
education
their like
focus their
in-house
time,
brand,
effort, and
I think,
resources on
the
helping
Good and
students
Gather,
pass the test to
of
achieve basic level of
chocolate
knowledge
covered
they
graham
need to succeed.
crackers, like little chocolate covered graham
Now, the
crackers.
Chamber of Commerce recognizes that
If
the MCAS
they're
is
not
not
always
a
in the
perfect
store, but if
tool,
I see them, I
and
buy 5
improvements can be
bags
made
just
to
to make sure
fully
that I'm
assess the
covered till the next time I can find
attainment
them.
levels of students in the Commonwealth. However, in the
I've made
absence
so
of an
many
approved alternative,
Scientology
it would be
references in the last
irresponsible
couple
to
weeks. I'm
eliminate
just
the
really
MCAS
happy to see a Sea Org
graduation
vibe call.
in favor of an untested proposal.
That's exactly what I
Moreover,
needed tonight.
why would we want to lessen
What is
standards
your
and accountability when,
what's your
according to
food that you're
2013 DESI
Mashed
data,
potatoes.
Worcester Public School rate
Oh
for
yeah.
students going
Like
to
a child,
college
I'll just
and
eat them to like
graduating
a dog.
within
Like I'm
6
gonna eat
years
them
is
I'm
well
about to vomit.
behind the state average.
Yeah.
If this ballot measure
I'll do
were to
that. That and
pass, it would be a
stuffing
disservice
on
to the students
holidays.
of Worcester
Yeah.
and across the Commonwealth, leading to inequitable assessments
Three-
and student
3D
achievement
Doritos
and
are-
opportunities.
Can you wrap up your comments,
Yep.
please?
And also, if passed, it would be a disservice
3D
to
Doritos
residents
are really good. I think they're
and business
back for
taxpayers
in
alike who deserve to
tube
know
form.
their annual investment in Massachusetts public schools is providing a positive return and producing a well-educated and skilled workforce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So he was against getting rid of the graduation
Name is
requirement.
Kevin Lynch, I'm resident of Worcester.
Sounded like.
I come to support 8GG and 8HH. I guess
That
in my
fucking dork.
support, just
He's
like
also
to point out
dressed
that
like
there was
Chris
a
Farley
community
in that
benefits
the
agreement agreed
Matt Foley
upon
sketch.
between the city management and the Woo Sox, and that would take care of these petitions and others that may come forward. And I think we're failing in that regard in allowing gentrification to take over and supporting gentrification.
Yes.
And
Somebody yell
you
yes.
just
Damn.
see this all over the city. You know, it takes.
Is that Kate's phone plugged into the TV? Is that what's happening here?
4 weeks,
I don't
5
know.
weeks
That's
to build
Jenny's kid's name, so
you know,
I
hotels.
smell a rat.
The apartments across from Burger King, and they're like $2,000 and up for 1 bedroom. The city spent a lot of money on the stadium, and you guys have put out nothing for the multi-purpose center. That
Somebody
we all agreed
call
on.
Kate's number.
You know, building, looking into.
Does anybody have it in
you
the
know,
chat? I
operating.
could post it.
You know, we need to be exclusive if we want a better quality of life in Worcester. Exclusive of those that are homeless, that are in addiction, because those people, the brothers, the sisters, the cousins, the mothers, the fathers of long-term Worcester residents. You know, they're not going to be pushed out and replaced with the wealth that a lot of people talk about. You know, today I was at a blockade, and we had 8 Worcester police officers and about 15 sheriffs, armed sheriffs, kicking a 65-year-old elderly woman out of her home with a 20-year-old granddaughter. And it's just another sign of gentrification, where these are city resources. This isn't big business, this is the city. In the city, in a big way, all you guys are managers of the city, of, you know, different regards, you know, with the CBA and, you know,
Can you wrap
addressing
up your
all
comments?
these issues.
Can you wrap up your comments, please?
Yep. It's just, I feel that, you know, we should have, you know, meetings surrounding these, you know, have discussions, because, you know, to get a better quality of life, we really need to be inclusive.
Thank you.
Yeah, exclusive, sorry, not exclusive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Greg Dorschler, Worcester resident, speaking on item 11A, the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. One thing that's very obvious to me is Worcester has grown considerably in the 45 or so years that I've lived here. It's grown by tens of thousands of people. It's very apparent that there is a lot more traffic on the roads, a lot more micro-mobility devices on the roads, more people crossing the roads and walking down the roads, and just a lot more of us. I would love to see the incidents of unsafe driving and the unsafe road designs fixed overnight. I know that's not going to happen.
I gotta
so many more of
figure
us
out that
packed
we have
in
this. I don't want
the same
to listen to this
road
guy's
network
comments,
that
but
we
remind
had
me I have a picture to show
45
you.
years ago. Lowering the speed limit, lowering speeds will buy us some time. Buy us some time not only to address those problems of road design and of unsafe driving, but buy us some time on the roads to react so that the tragic accident becomes a close call and the close call becomes a non-event. If we can prevent some of those and make the crashes that do happen less severe, I'm all in favor of it. So I encourage you to all to support item 11A. Thank you.
Thank you. What's your name, city residents? Item
Very quickly. There we go. Look at that.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
This
City
friggin' dork
Councilors,
sleeping.
name's Darnell Dunn. I work for the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce as the developer.
Thanks,
Director of
Antifa, for
Business
getting that.
Improvement. I'm here to speak in support of the extension of the tie agreement for 340 Main Street. In 2020, this council unanimously approved the tie agreement for the Silver Brick Group. And due to some unforeseen challenges resulting from unfavorable market conditions during the COVID-19 pandemic, the project was shelved. SMC Group, a multifamily development firm based in Watertown, Massachusetts, has the project currently under agreement and plan to move forward with turning the nearly 400,000 square foot office building into 312 market rate units. They've also opted to make a payment to the city's Affordable Housing Trust to the tune of $2.4 million, thereby expanding the city's resources to be able to expand housing stock available to families and individuals across the income spectrum. Amending this tie agreement to reflect the updated project schedule.
I got another picture of Trainer. He's literally asleep. He's in the exact same position. A half an hour later.
Leading the way in office conversions.
Antifa, I'm so happy that you're there tonight. This is incredible.
Not only that, you'll see 500 units in the downtown area, creating density, foot traffic, and creating demand that retailers, small businesses locally here can fill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm speaking on 8 GG and 9. What is it? 9. It's mine, the ones I put in. It's about the homeless vets. I was raised on a reservation in Oklahoma, and I got taken out of that lifestyle, and I was in military life for 22 years. I was a spouse, and I was a military brat. So this is a very, very hard thing for me to talk about and not cry, because I am always going to be military in my heart. So I was part of reintegration.
If you're talking about Wolf Hall, just a heads up, they use non-binary
pronoun. Advancement, jobs, not jails. We were the reintegration. I stepped in it, didn't know what I was stepping in, but I needed to, because I had no idea what homelessness was like. None. I was homeless here 8 years.
Right.
I sued your slumlord and I got blacklisted here. So I turn around, I try to help the ex-prisoners. I try to help their family. But it seems one thing that the city needs to stand up and do is start helping these homeless vets.
Good to know.
And all these people
Thanks,
that talk
Antifa.
about all these people panhandling, how do you know if they're homeless vets? Everyone's always supporting vets. What about the homeless ones? There's nothing out there for them. I was in Queen Street Shelter. There was nothing. There was nowhere for them to take a shower. So Worcester, you don't care about your homeless vets, in my opinion. When I went to the stand down, there was no one there. There was hardly anyone there. But look at Polar Park. What's popping over there? So I just think that what I wanted to do to see, just to make conversation, to see if the city will allow the detailed job that the police officers are doing to share with the homeless vets that are ready to come back into the community. So I just wanted to have conversation about that, because you don't care about your homeless vets, Worcester. And I'm saying that. I'm saying that because I'm out there. I was out there for 8 years. They're the ones that protected me when I was out there. But you don't care about your homeless vets, Worcester, because you throw trash at them. If you see them on the media, they don't even hold their signs anymore because they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the water fountain. I went over there, jumped over, and I was drinking it, because that's where the homeless get to drink. So they're all drinking out there that water. So we need to give something for the homeless vets to drink, not to look at and wish they could have something to drink, but we need to do something for them. Your city's not. Your city's not. You're doing breadcrumbs. And I want to thank the library. The library is the one that's doing most of the help with the homeless vets and the homeless. They got nowhere to go. Everyone's like, they're in the library. Where are they supposed to go? There's no day center. We met with Maddie Cassell 3 times because we had something in place.
For the
called
record,
Africa House.
that ban was bullshit
wanted-
from
no
the
one
jump.
wanted to help them
You can't
then.
ban somebody for
So
swearing.
we got shot down. We were
Can't
still
ban
getting
somebody
shot
from
down.
public from
And you know
public
what?
comment
I'm out there with the homeless.
for
They
any
come to
reason,
me
unless
because they
there's a
think I can
trespass order
find them
and a
housing. I can't.
restraining order.
I'm trying to help a Navy vet that's from the Crow Reservation. He can't find housing because of his credit. If you don't take care of your homeless vets, Worcester, you throw trash on them. That's all I got to say. And to the who is doing the market price? Who brings them in? Whoever is, you can kiss my fucking Native American ass.
Thank you. What's your name, state residence item?
Bruce Hoffner from New Hampshire. I'm going to make your day. So
Fucking hate
I
this
want to
guy.
talk about WPI, and then I want to talk about the speed limit. First thing with WPI.
First time, long time?
They punched you right in the brains. Massachusetts is known for the colleges all over the country, top colleges. Why you're not embellishing WPI to help you with these problems, with the speed limit, with the roads and so forth, the timing of the lights, befuddles me. But we'll all cry about the tax money that they beat you out of with the hotel. We'll cry about that. Embrace them. Look what they did for the firefighters. 7 firefighters died.
Yeah,
They
that
came
fucking
up with a
sucks.
device that helps find firefighters in that type of building. You need to really embrace them. And the second thing is the city councilors that said defund the police and started talking negative about the police. Shame on you guys. I don't blame you for like coming unhinged last week. It was, you feel guilty. I'm sure you do. Because you were one of the ones that said you wanted to defund the police. I'm sorry?
Direct your comments to me, please.
Okay, I apologize. I apologize. I should have done that. The point that I'm making is that
He's a
we're
piece of
talking
shit.
about defunding
Is what
police.
his
So
his
who's going
his
to
interest is.
enforce these speed limits? Santa Claus? I stopped believing in Santa Claus a long time ago. We're down how many police officers? You pay them $500 a week to train? That's ridiculous. I mean, you all should be ashamed of yourselves. Get with the program. Embrace the colleges. Worcester has WPI. It has Clark for social services. Embrace those people. They'd love to do projects on this. The students would love to do projects. You have in Boston, you have colleges. They're dying to do, artificial intelligence projects on this. It's ridiculous that we're going around in circles talking about the speed limit, not synchronizing lights. This is outrageous. I go to New Hampshire just about every day.
Stay there.
Speed limits.
You
are much
live
better,
there, apparently.
but they have plenty
Fuck
of
off.
police. They're hiring more police. Townsend hired more police. They're not defunding them, and the residents are embracing it. They love it because
can you
they
wrap
feel
up?
protected.
Can you
I'm
wrap up?
wrapping it up. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
That guy's such
There
a fucking
people on-
dirtbag.
There are people online.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a few residents online. The first resident is Sarah Moore. I'm trying to meet the resident now.
What's your name and city residence?
Yes, my name is Sarah Moore, resident City of Worcester. Just wanted to speak quickly in
Someone
favor
please
of
do a shout out to
11A
the show
and
on public
17A, 25 mile per hour speed limits, 20 mile an hour safety zones. By now, we've heard from dozens of people who have said it, over and over again. They've said it much more eloquently than I can. So I just want to thank those of you who are in support of it, those of you who maybe may have questions about it. We've heard quite a bit about how it could save lives and help people. So just wanted to put my support out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item. Next person.
Great
Mr. Mayor, the
job,
next speaker
Suarez
is,
Ellie.
someone on the phone. Last 4 digits is 6714. Once you unmute, you can press *7 to unmute.
Hello.
Hi, can you please state your name and city of residence?
Yes, my name is Colleen West. I'm from Worcester.
Oh no.
I'm speaking about item 11A.
Oh,
this is all
God.
about enforcement. We have a police department that's down 50 officers.
So they all got their
Officers retiring,
talking points
recruitment is low.
about
And
they
then we have a
brought back the defund the
city
police thing.
councilor that had the audacity in June to propose defunding our police department. These are the same people that want something done about speeding, but have continuously voted against giving WPD the tools and measures to keep us safe in this city. Speed
What was the
limit
last thing that they
is
were
just
told no
another
for?
feel-good tactic. Going to
They what?
solve nothing.
What was the last
Nothing.
thing the
We
Worcester
looked
Police
at
Department was
Nothing, ever.
proven
horrific
no
fatal
for?
motorcycle accident, Shrewsbury Street, Monday night. Posting 25 miles an hour would not have changed a thing. If these speeders don't follow the current speed limits, how will lowering it make them somehow comply? Let's see this traffic stop data. We need more stop signs, traffic cameras, speed humps, lane narrowing, chokers. You know,
It's so
that's all I
it's
have
so
to say about
funny
that. I do want to
how
talk about MCAS real quick. I forget the number of
fuck
that item. I'm
Connolly
sorry.
she's a fucking
We cannot get rid of.
And people are
it
just
as
too
a
stupid to
graduation
function.
requirement.
This is really the problem. It's like it's
like
Only
she's legit at
32% of W.
like she's a bad fucked up
CS
piece of shit person.
elementary and middle school students and
I want bad
42%
things to
of
happen to
high
her.
school
She
students
fucking sucks.
tested at or above proficient level for reading. That's crazy. And only 17% of elementary school and middle school students and 25% of high school students tested at or above level for math.
She's why I'm not a
Anyone
organ
entering
donor.
our school system needs to be able to acclimate and pass a basic test. Stop dumbing down our kids. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next
I
speaker is
have
Carol
gotten her to
Powers. I'm
block
sure
me
you're
on
trying
every
to do that
social
now.
media platform. So I am
Hi,
doing it.
Carol Powers, resident of Worcester,
Kara.
also a parent of a Worcester Public School student. And I am primarily calling to speak about 13A on the MCAS, but also do want to voice my support for lowering the speed limit and the safety zones. It's not just about getting more people to follow the speed limit. With the size of the vehicles that are being driven, we know that a lower speed limit just saves lives. I agree with the previous caller that lane narrowing and other measures also would be great. But I think those of us that maybe feel a little bit nervous about the speed being a little bit slower are probably the ones that should think about why it needs to be there. As for the MCAS, the ballot initiative is to replace it as a graduation requirement. So the fear mongering that we can't get rid of it until we have something else, then we'll never get rid of it. Because actually, the whole language of it is that anytime we pass a ballot initiative, then the legislature actually has to figure out how we comply and how we put it into practice. That's just how ballot initiatives work. That said, the idea from the person from the chamber that we have untested solutions, the fact is that we have a Massachusetts Consortium for Innovative Education Assessment that has been working in districts across the state, across the Commonwealth, for over a decade, piloting and measuring more quality measurements for assessing our students. The idea that it is dumbing down students to have higher quality assessments of our high standards is tragically misguided. The fact is that the test has been dumbing down our students for 25 years. It has narrowed the way that our teachers can teach. It has narrowed the access of the scope of curriculum that our students have access to. And as someone who teaches in higher ed, it has lowered the expectations to a transactional, how you can answer questions on a test. That means that we have to completely rebuild critical thinking skills from scratch. We
Could you wrap up your comments,
absolutely,
please?
we absolutely need to make sure that our kids are being held to the high standards that Massachusetts has. The MCAS has nothing to do with the standards.
Thank you.
It is a measurement tool, and I think that our students deserve a better one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Dixon. I'm trying to meet the resident now. Please say your name and city of residence.
How much do you want to bet that he didn't read the whole name and that the entire thing was a
Okay,
funny
we-
joke.
That resident dropped off. The next speaker is Eric Stratton. I'm trying to meet the resident now.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
What was it, Antifa?
Wonderful. I'm calling in support of items 11A and 17A. We need to lower the speed limits. This is a very clear safety improvement for our city. For folks who are calling in or who have spoken otherwise saying that enforcement is the key, this is a false dilemma. It's not either or. Changing the speed limit, and I apologize for noise in the background. I'm home with my ill little one.
Tiny human.
It is not the only thing we can do. We can do a lot of things. We can lower the speed limit. We can change our engineering. We can redesign our city so that it's a livable, walkable city. I was really grateful to see the unanimous support from traffic and parking last week. And I'm very much hoping to see this get passed citywide. Implementing this on a street-by-street basis makes no sense. And is frankly only going to sow confusion. This needs to be done across the city. It has the support of the Department of Public Works. It has the support of WPD. And I really hope to see support from the City Council for this measure. It will help save lives and make our city a better place to live and raise a family, especially those of us with little ones or other vulnerable road users. Thank you.
Eric, you got to say tiny human, man.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is
Give us a
Connolly.
little
I'm trying to
Easter
meet the
egg.
resident now.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I
I
was still on
am
public
in
comment.
support of a few things. The agenda is quite long, as usual. I am in
Support of a shorter agenda?
the 25 miles an hour.
I don't know what's
statutory
longer,
speed
this
limit
agenda
and
or
20
my
mile an
CVS
hour,
receipt. Am I right,
safety
people?
zones around schools,
Hey.
hospitals, and any areas that.
I
it
know I
needs
meant to mention this last week when we were
I'm
watching the
also in support of
traffic parking
12D,
meeting.
doing
The last
something
time I
about,
saw Epic
the
Stratton in
airport
person was
Rotary
actually at a car
area,
show
Pleasant Street
at the
and
end of
Shannon
August.
Street, where
And I think it's
people
kind of
have
rad
been killed
that a bunch
and
of people
harmed.
that like really fast
I'm
fucking
in
cars
support
can
of
agree that
12H,
sometimes they shouldn't be
DPW
going that
holding
fast.
contractors accountable. Let's see, 12F, I am not in favor of using tax dollars to bring WPI to a lawsuit. So I hope that we can figure something out that's not costing us money. I'm in support of 12L and M,
Mostly
as well
GI, yeah.
as N,
The
in
vast
regards
majority.
to Elm Park, doing a traffic study, making it safer for the pedestrians around there, getting more trash receptacles and cans.
He scores the
12Q,
council meetings like it's an
trimming
old
the
school
trees
baseball
along
game.
Bailey Road. The city needs to trim the trees and bushes everywhere in Worcester. I'm not in favor in NCATs, so that's a no on that one. 19B, I
Great
am
comments,
in
Eric.
favor of having Councilor Hajawi's her petition expedited, and I
Oh
apologize. I
wow,
didn't
Cameron,
say
you
where I'm
you
from.
almost
4th Street, District
exposed your
5.
identity,
And
Eric.
lastly, I am going to add this. I didn't intend on adding this, but a couple of people made me look this up. So myth number 1, this is from booking.
I love the idea of danger zones.
Myth number 1, defund means abolish. One of the most misleading critiques of the movement is
I thought that
instigating.
there was a period of time before that when the airport was still like in mothball territory and like nothing commercial is flying out of there. I thought it'd be awesome if they opened up the airport like once a week, once a month, whatever, just to let people come up and
departments and reallocate funding.
just straight and
Sure.
nothing stupid, just
Sure.
straight and
Reallocate
fast.
funding to trained mental health workers and social workers to reduce unnecessary violent encounters between police and citizen. At least 13.
Yeah, no, we don't worry about liability. That's the
That
thing.
is-
That's what
have
waivers are
come
for.
back to
It's
this.
insurance is off the
Also,
hook. I
just
mean,
want to say
tracks are
that
everywhere.
I
That's
did
the
have
thing.
a
Is like
minute.
you can do track days anytime you
Oh, they
anybody
just hung
want
up
to.
on somebody.
Oh,
The
geez.
last speaker is Patty. I'm trying to meet the resident now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name.
Can't
and city
believe that Joe Penny hung up
My
on
name is
somebody.
Patty Kuzar, and I'm a resident of District 2 here in Worcester. First, I wanted to start off by saying I support 13A, getting rid of the MCAS as a graduation requirement. I want to congratulate and thank the city councilors who helped move this 25-mile-per-hour change forward. You've helped the city take one small step towards a bigger goal of ending pedestrian deaths in Worcester. But if that is our goal, ending ending pedestrian deaths. Why did it take so long to get here? It doesn't make sense to me as a resident, as a pedestrian, as a mother, that we have to work so hard for this. We got example after tragic example this summer of why we need to do anything and everything to make our streets safer. Thanks to this change, soon the road outside my daughter's daycare will have a speed limit of 20 miles per hour. Will drivers still go 40, 50 miles per hour? Sadly, yes. And when I see that kind of lawless, dangerous behavior, I will be reminded of the councilors who will vote against this simple public safety measure tonight. Whatever your justification for voting no, it's as hollow as the drivers who blame pedestrians. The same drivers who explain away their speeding, texting, running red lights, and worse. A yes vote tonight means you care about saving lives. There's no room for anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's the last speaker for virtual participation.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we'll do. We'll go through some of the petitions. Then we'll go, I guess, to the 25 miles an hour, 17A. Okay. So we're in hearings in order. The motion is to open the hearing. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. It's the hearing, child communication, conduct location at Granite Street.
Actually, very popular. People are texting her all the time.
You should have turned the camera on and actually juggled her.
Motion is to close the hearing. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Motion is to adopt. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
That was great, Eric.
We have petitions. 8A, refer to Public Works. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 8B to 8CC, refer to Traffic and Parking Committee. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 8DD, refer to Veterans Memorial Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, they got rid of
All those in favor,
video
opposed, so ordered.
participation.
8EE, Michael Brandon, request City Council, request City Manager hold a meeting with all city town mayors, councilors, and state representatives to discuss the levels concerned tax exemptions.
Of course you do.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but file that or motion to file. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Harold Barisi, request the City Council, City Manager consider amending the construction noise ordinance to prohibit construction noise on Sundays and federal holidays to residential districts. And that was Harold Rosani, I'm sorry. So send that to the manager. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Rhonda Hicks, request the City Council, request City Manager consider naming a partnership between the Worcester Police Department with the homeless veterans and homeless people to assist them in finding employment. Send that to the manager.
A weird tie.
Favor, opposed, so ordered.
Jess just texted me. She said, "What's with this tie?"
Kind of candy
I
cane.
agree. It's a little candy
Mr.
candy.
Mayor, I just wanted to
A little
ask that we follow
creamsicle
that because it's not
Buccaneers.
in the job description of the police department. We have mass hire that we work with. There are appropriate organizations that
Kate looks really disheveled tonight.
She's
I
probably
would- I
fucking
would-
just woke
I would
up, dude.
Instead, request that. Well, I request that we file this order.
Okay. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Rhonda Hicks, request City Council, request City Manager dedicate a water fountain to the homeless veterans to be placed next to the water fountain memorial to the Worcester Common.
On that also, I think, I'm not even sure that water is potable. And so perhaps we should do something about making sure that people know that that's not drinkable water.
So amend it and send it to the manager.
Or maybe you could be a fucking human and give people access to water that is.
Ordered.
Yeah.
Andrew Hedges.
You could even call it a bubbler.
Request the manager consider increasing the amount of money allocated to traffic enforcement by the Worcester Police Department to areas that have been increased traffic fatalities and auto collisions. Something that we're doing, but we can send that to the manager, I guess. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
Mr. Chairman, motion to file.
What's that?
Motion to file AII.
AII? Which one is that one?
Yeah, I agree, Gio.
Are we just doing spite filings
We're
now?
doing this anyways, but we can file it.
I hope so.
All those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
What was it? 8II?
So let's go to 17A, if you don't mind, since we have people here waiting for that. Report of the Committee on Traffic and Parking upon the communication city manager transmitting information communication relative to adapting The speed limit of 25 miles per hour in the establishment of a safety zone with 20 mile per hour speed limits. Recommend passage of the accompanying proposed
So it's
ordinance and
8
adoption
II.
of the accompanying order to accept the provisions of Section 17C of Chapter 90 of the general laws to establish a 25 mile per hour statutory speed limit citywide in thickly settled or business districts. Accept the provisions of Section 1BB of Chapter 90 of the general laws to authorize the establishment of agreed limit of 20 miles per hour within the areas designated by the city council as safety zones and enact revisions to the city general revised ordinances to enact the same. So just so people know, we need 2 votes on this. One is to allow us to vote it tonight, which is a preamble, and the second vote would be the passage of the item itself. Councilor Colorio.
Thank you. The Traffic and Parking Committee held 5 district meetings, which all the meetings included a PowerPoint presentation from Transportation and Mobility, along with public question and answers from the city and the Worcester PD. The total of residents that came to these meetings are approximately 40. At the conclusion of the 5 hearings, it was clear more public input was required. At the time, with the input from the city and Commissioner Raleigh, I suggested an online survey to be conducted since Vision Zero survey was so successful. At the May meeting, my chairman's order was unanimously supported. The survey was conducted, which lasted June 1st to June 30th. On September 4th, both these items were presented to Traffic and Parking meeting. In reviewing the data brought forth in the commissioner's presentation, along with the conversations with
Think Donna's ever gotten lost someplace
my
like a
intent
shopping
as
mall
chair
or
of
like a
Parking and
large
Traffic
department store?
was to recommend
She's
to my
never found
colleagues
her
to
car on the
support
first
adopting
try.
a statutory speed limit of
Leaving
25
any
miles
store.
per hour and
Guaranteed.
establishing safety zones with 20 mile per hour limits. In making these recommendations, I'd like to make it clear my hopes that with the help of the city manager, the Worcester Police Department, the Department of Transportation and Mobility, all the other offices
Mo looks like
associated
he's
with road
glitching.
safety, we will be able to
Holy
move forward
shit.
as a city
Is he
with safer
frozen?
streets through lower speed limits, as well as further expanded traffic enforcement
pooping.
division
He's
with the
pooping in his
Worcester
diaper
Police
right now.
Department.
Could be pooping in his
This
diaper
vote
right
did
now.
not come easy for me.
He's making a
In
boom
fact,
boom.
some of you were surprised. In fact, some of you even were taking credit for my vote by implying
there we go.
that you bullied me and some of my colleagues. For the record, that just wasn't true. My vote just took
Yeah, we
time.
did.
I asked my colleagues to stop
fucking
listening to the
roasted your
noise
ass.
and join me in passing this item tonight. Thank you.
Did she literally shout me out? I was talking about.
Who'd she give credit to for that?
How did it go? I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Somebody clip it.
Yeah.
Councilor Russell.
Them Donna
Chair,
calling us
I
out.
rise, first of all, to say that I'll be voting for this item.
He
this
did.
evening,
He
and I
did tweet
won't
about
be,
it.
asking
Bullying
for
works,
any
everybody.
amendments. I'd like
Sorry.
to thank the chairman of the committee.
You
for
should
her
bully
efforts,
people with more power
citywide.
than you.
When she had the meeting in the senior center in District 3, I remember I filled in on that meeting that night, and I remember saying that I was for it, but I was against it. And I'll tell you, I've gone back and forth on this, and I've gone back and forth
against
on it. because I've looked
I was
at the data,
I was for it before
and
I
I've
was
looked
against
at
it.
the research. And the comments that I made publicly before stand about this being one of hopefully a long list of things that the
See,
city
like
gonna be
you can
doing,
say all you
to deal
want
with
that.
the issues of
Oh, I'm responding to the
specifically
bullying.
fatalities in our traffic.
I wasn't bullied, but you're
Mr. Chairman,
literally
I'd like to point
answering
out some
to the
things just
charges
general to the public.
and doing what
Some
we
things that I
want.
found out
So
through my research
sorry,
with the
motherfuckers.
assistance of the help
You're
of,
running scared.
good staff members in the city council office and with
It
the
is.
help
It's
of the
bullying.
police
No, I'm
department.
No, it is
sorry.
bullying.
I'm
It's very
sorry,
much
Sally. Sarah. I love you, but
Mr. Chairman,
we're bullying them.
just today I was read an article that was shared by a Boston city council.
A lot. You
about
guys.
how
You
Boston
guys are
still has a
advocating.
major
You guys
problem
are all
with
advocating.
fatalities.
This is not.
And
This
they
is
have
not.
the 25
I'm
mile
not
an hour
co
speed limit.
like.
And they've got
You know,
a
you're not
serious
co-conspirators
problem
in
with
this.
fatalities and it
You
continues.
guys are advocating. You're
Springfield
doing it the right way.
has had the
Brendan,
25 mile an
Bill,
hour speed
and
limit
I, and everyone
since
involved on this end of the show
2017. They
is
are number
bullying
2
them.
in the state for fatalities.
We were calling them
Of
names.
course,
We're
the
saying
argument could be
shitty
made,
stuff about
it
them.
could be said that it might have
But
been
it is
an awful
all
lot worse
punching straight
if
up.
They didn't have
Yeah.
the 25 mile an hour speed limit citywide.
Still bullying,
That's
but it makes it
something
okay.
that makes you think and makes you consider this option and whether it's the place that we should be putting our attention. Mr. Chairman, last week, last meeting, I alluded to that information in that report, and I held up a draft of it at the time. And I asked the staff members in the council office to do a little clearer color coding on it. Mr. Chairman, of the 36, I guess, 36 or 37 deaths in the last few years since 2021, I'm holding up a sheet, the ones in yellow. When we vote tonight on the 25-mile-an-hour zone, those streets where those deaths happen will not be changed. The speed limits will not be changed on those.
Okay,
streets.
that's still like
Anything
75% of
on
those
this sheet
are on
will
streets
not be
that would be
changed.
changed.
So that's something to be concerned about. 11 of the 37 or 30%
half.
of these streets,
I think
where there were
half.
fatalities, will not be changed tonight with the vote that we take. 17 of the, 11 of them definitely won't be changed because they're state-specific highways that we don't have the authority to ask for. 17 of the 37, including those original 11, are streets that are not able, with the vote tonight, won't make it change. We need to ask for communication with the state to ask to change those, or not to ask, I think what Mr. Raleigh said, notify the state that we're going to change those. But we need to take those separate votes. So I'm not asking an amendment to this item, but I am asking that the administration comes back very soon for those to add, especially the streets and any other streets that they think need be, but to add those streets to the 25-mile-an-hour zones. One of them was the one that the Councilor Hajji referenced last meeting about on Stafford Street. That's one of those streets. So we need to take a separate vote like we did on Belmont Street, like we're doing on Belmont Street, to notify the state that we want to have the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in those zones. On this sheet also, the blue on this sheet, those are medical emergencies. Of the medical emergencies, it was 5 of the 37, 13%, my rough math that I did here, 13% of medical emergencies. Those are not going away. 27 of the 37 that I came up with were vehicle occupants' deaths. So I know pedestrian deaths are very important and something that we're trying to address here. But Mr. Chairman, let it be known that of the people that have died since 2021, that 73% of them have been inside the vehicles, either drivers or passengers inside the vehicles. Mr. Chairman, when I went over this list, and I did detail with the help of Josh from the council office, I asked him to Google each one of those accidents. And each one of them had their own story behind them. And some of them were, that if someone's going 100 miles an hour, we change the speed limit by 5 miles per hour. Maybe it'll help, but I don't think it's going to be the big point that's going to make it. What's going to be the big point, and after talking with the chief today, I'm encouraged that there will be more activity and there will be more enforcement with the department and with the traffic and mobility department too, with signage and visibility. But we need to really step up our game citywide on this whole issue going forward, because when 73% of those accidents are people in cars, I mean, they each have a story. There was one on Grafton Street. When I saw it on the list, I thought it was when Gabby passed away crossing the street in front of Roosevelt, but that was back before this list. That was like 2018 to 2019, when we put the flashing light and put the marker for her and her family. It wasn't that. The one on Grafton Street, almost at that identical location in front of the fish market, was a car that was traveling at 100 miles plus per hour. 100 miles plus per hour. The officers that the captain from the area referred to it as almost like a clown car. There were so many people jammed in the car. 2 of the occupants of that vehicle died. And it started with a gun down on Water Street that was with a high-speed thing. The 5 mile an hour change is not going to address those kinds of things.
There's literally a police chase that they're talking
I'm here
about,
to
right?
support the chief of police and the
So,
traffic and
okay.
mobility department
Like,
when they give their professional opinion that This is going to make a difference, and it's a step in the right direction. But, Mr. Chairman, we need to roll up our sleeves as a city and work with the professionals in the police department and the mobility department to get this done. And that's why I'm asking, as separate items, that the city manager, and this is another thing, I asked the
You're in your
chiefs today.
second 5, too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked the chiefs today about these highways, Route 20 and 290. How many fatalities have we had on Route 20 and 290? We don't have the authority to change the zones there, but we do have the authority, according to the police chief, to have our officers do more activity on those streets. We do have the authority to have our city administration interact with the state and talk with them about changing the speed limits on Route 20 and on 290 on the other major streets that we have. These are things that we need to dig in deeper with this as a community, as an administration, and I'm here to support it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Toomey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I filed the first order on the reducing the speed limit to 25,
I wasn't being
several
bullied.
years ago, it just had no movement. No one wanted to support that. That was stupid, whatever. But unfortunately, we've lost so many lives that now that people are realizing that if we can do something, we should consider doing this. And I think that, as my good colleague, Councilor Russell has said, it's a tool in the toolbox, really. It's one of many things that we need to be doing. I can tell you that between yesterday and today, I crossed Main Street coming in and out of work a couple of times, and each and every time there was and last week as well, there was at least 2 cars that would go through the red light while I was in the crosswalk. So people are not paying attention. They're driving faster. And it's a really big issue. I also can tell you that I put my car on autopilot there, or what do you call it when you do the speed limit? Cruise control, thank you. Put my car on cruise control on Lake Ave several times. And I got home safely. I got home not much faster than I would have at any other time. I also did it on Shrewsbury Street. And actually there were a bunch of cars just, instead of passing me, rode right behind me. So I know people can deal with it. If we can save a life by doing this and reducing our speed, I know not everybody's going to be driving 25. We know every mile that you reduce it, you lessen the impact on both pedestrian and, as Councilor Russell said, vehicular accidents as well. So I want to thank Councilor Florio.
Did you hear anything about that motorcycle accident on Shrewsbury Street the other night?
And all the work they've done.
The one that happened during the day?
Was it during the day? I thought it was like late at night.
The only one I'd seen was 26-year-old yesterday afternoon.
Involved in this, and I think that
in front of McDonald's.
Move on and make sure that we get people out educated.
Oh, it must be a different one then.
Not only
there's 2.
Not only
there was a 26-year-old yesterday afternoon, but I thought it was closer down on the other side of Shrewsbury.
Well, they had it shut down.
I think that
they had a section of Shrewsbury Street up by McDonald's shut down for like the entire day for an accident that happened at 2:45 in the morning.
Huh.
Not good.
See nobody else.
That was a fatality, right?
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we are on the verge of taking this vote, and it sounds like we're going to be moving in the right direction. What I would like to say is a couple of things. I know that the idea of reducing our speed limit is very difficult for a segment of our population. I think that the survey showed that very close split in a very, very small sample size, Mr. Chairman. In kind of looking at this and listening to Department of Transportation and Mobility, looking at some of the research, we know that there will not be a significant reduction in average travel speed. We also know that Boston, for example, it's been in place since 2017. And if you hadn't told me that, I wouldn't have known that there was a 25 miles per hour. Now, that might sound like an argument against
I wish we
it,
had streetcars so
but
bad.
it's really not, because we heard tonight some numbers that were given out and sort of the parameters of accidents that have occurred.
Get on
what
it.
would fit within the 25 mile per hour per street. Which ones were accidents that simply involved vehicles versus pedestrians.
There's just nothing like it.
And
especially cool ones like in New
also
Orleans.
shows me that there will be a statistically significant reduction in speeds that exceed 20, 30, and 35 miles per hour based on the study of places like Boston and Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, God, those would be great.
Now, we know also that it's not about the exact numbers in each individual situation. The research says 40% decrease in the risk of death. A 40% decrease.
Good. Yeah.
All of those accidents
Just have
that were listed
people
on
dress
the,
up in costume along the streets,
form that
try and scare people.
Our colleague and our staff have put together are about
all the state
people,
highways
not
should be
simply
replaced with
numbers.
lazy river.
They're not simply reports of accidents. Those are people. Those are humans.
Has anyone ever done the
And
hayride at the
research
Sportsman's
shows
Club
that
in
there's
Auburn?
a
Century Sportsman's Club.
42% chance of there being a less likelihood of a fatality. That's a chance that we must take, Mr. Chairman. We've heard a lot about enforcement in committee and otherwise. We heard about aggressive enforcement. I'd like to see increased visibility, and I'd like to see tempered and educational
They do a good job.
enforcement
They honestly do a good job.
for this matter
One
that
section
we're
of
moving
it
forward,
is
Mr.
called
Chairman.
Clown Town, and it's just a
Springfield, I was
guy
able to
and a
reach out
bunch
to
of his
some of the
kids
folks
dressed
out
in
there
fucking clown
and get an idea how that's been going.
costumes.
Yes,
and
they
bl-
certainly continue to
and blame
have
ICP.
their
They're going
challenges.
crazy. It's really fun.
Back in June, I was ready to vote
We started
25
like
miles per hour
20 years
only
ago.
in certain sections of the
And
city. That made
my
sense.
my friend's
Some of
dad
our
was the
more
one that
dense
started it.
neighborhoods,
And
some
we
of our
used to
smaller
like
cut-through
scare
residential
people on it,
streets.
but they didn't really
But
have a
in looking
plan.
at
And so we
this,
just somebody gave us a
overall,
chainsaw. We had a bunch of firecrackers.
we
So
want
used
to make
just light
sure
firecrackers
that
off
we're
next to
decreasing
the
that
hayride
likelihood
and scare the
by
shit out of people.
42%
It was
of a fatality
janky
citywide.
back then.
It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for folks. Everyone drives at some point or another over the speed limit. But this will help us do better. Distracted driving. We, me, us can all do better, Mr. Chairman. And I want to make sure that we continue to build on this, Mr. Chairman. And I'm looking forward to how we're doing this in a teaming approach, not simply law enforcement enforcing, as mentioned by many folks here, as mentioned by the Triple E's, but a real comprehensive approach. And we have to make sure that when we're engaging and educating folk, we're doing it in a tempered manner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Bergman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm left with a lot of unanswered questions, and I don't think time is going to help. We've had plenty of time. Those questions still remain unanswered. Things I have unanswered questions about. We've been discussing, where it's been discussed that 70 or so communities have adopted the 25 mile an hour program. But nobody ever says that's a mere 20 or so percent of the cities and towns in Massachusetts, which means 80% haven't. Do they know something we don't, or are we just playing catch up? I don't have an answer to that, but quite frankly,
catch up.
it would have been nice to have had an answer. Springfield's been mentioned. Well, if you look at the numbers in Springfield, by the way, they've had the reduced speed limits since
2017, a year after the legislature enacted Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 17C. A year after they put it in place. In 2021, they had 9 pedestrian fatalities. We had 1. In 2023, they had 9 again. We had 0. I don't know whether or not reducing the speed limit prevented it from making it worse. I reached out to a city council there and an elected official.
Hi, Molly.
Quite frankly, they
Thanks
told
for
me that
joining
without
us.
enforcement,
Hey, Molly, take care.
too much. So I don't know who else in the administration reached out to anybody in Springfield to find out why a similarly situated city with less people than us and more police officers than we have, so they have more police per capita than we do, and they've had a speed limit reduced the last 7 years, still has much more significant pedestrian death problems.
So
we have.
you're
And we
picking
have
out
our
one
problems,
city out of
every
all the
death
other
is a
data.
tragedy.
Do you think
I'm
that
not
maybe there's
minimizing
another
it at
factor
all.
involved, or are you
But
just
it would have been nice for somebody to
arguing in
reach
bad
out and
faith?
gotten
You
those
fucking
answers.
dickhead.
The biggest contributor to pedestrian and vehicle accidents and death isn't speed. Nobody ever says that in all the conversations we have. It's distracted driving. And there's nothing that I can see from reducing the speed from 30 to 25 that's going to change that.
I mean, especially coming from a guy who's on his phone constantly while he's driving.
And I have yet to hear where the officers that we're taking to do the enforcement are coming from, and what does that do to other departments that may need those individuals. I certainly haven't heard for any increased numbers of police officers.
We have to make a
which to me
concerted effort
may have
to
made some sense if we're
get
taking
him off city
officers from one
council.
department and moving him
One,
to
because he
traffic
fucking sucks. Two, because it would piss him off so much.
Mass
I
General Law,
think that's
Chapter 90,
really
Section
would be fun.
17C does give an option for separate streets to be enforced. And some of the municipalities have done just that. It would have been nice to see how they found that. Is it in fact confusing, as some people suggest, or is it practical? Because it seems to me with less streets to monitor and only a certain number of police officers, the enforcement would be better on those streets. I look at the same list Councilor Russell has. He was kind enough to
Wait,
share.
so
with me.
you think that
We have hundreds
if
and
we
hundreds of
change the
miles of
entire
streets in
city
the city of
to
Worcester.
25 miles per
There are
hour,
only a
that you have
select
to
number of
enforce it on
streets that
every
have had
they're going to
repetitive
pick and choose streets
individual
anyways,
problems on
you
them.
dumbass.
Certainly, it's worth considering.
So what's the fucking
having
difference?
enforcement just on those streets, but that was certainly not in the mix either, and leaves me again with unanswered questions. The other thing that leaves me with unanswered questions is why we haven't suggested that both motorist and pedestrian education be an important part of this. I know one of my colleagues mentioned.
Oh yeah, she's frozen now too.
Related issues last week, and it seems to have caused an uproar. We all drive down streets, and we know that both motorists and pedestrians can benefit from education. But yet again, we're creating a wedge issue, which we seem to do very well in this council. Let's pit motorists against pedestrians, and let's not include both of them in the conversation on how to educate each other on safer streets. And it's reached the point, quite frankly, where I don't know where the term vehicle violence comes from, but the word violence means an intent to do harm. And I don't think anybody here knows anybody who's gotten in a motor vehicle accident and God forbid has caused the tragic consequences that's happened in the city that set out to intend to do that. That's why they're called accidents. And sometimes they're tragic. But I just feel we're again creating a wedge issue between motorists and pedestrians when it should be everybody that should be educated on how
See,
to prevent.
this is classic Mo Bergman in the
people from
same
being
way.
harmed or killed.
Homeowners
And let me
versus
also mention
renters.
that one
Thinks
item
that
that is also
he thinks
escaped,
that
I think,
motorists
conversation that
aren't
should have
the
been part
same
of this
exact
is the
people as pedestrians.
WRTA. I
Like,
sat on that committee as some of
what's
my
a wedge
colleagues
issue?
did,
It's
and
just
we
a matter
tried
of
and tried
what you're in,
to
either a
figure out
car
ways
or
that the
on the street.
WRTA can be
Like,
more used by more people.
he's so desperate
And
to
it seems
fucking
to me,
like
even with the new
categorize
executive
people
director, we're
and
back to
act
where
like they're
we've
fucking
always been.
blocks
Yes, it's free,
that
and that's great for
only
people
all
that need
act
to
the
use it.
exact same way
But
as
when
the
you
other
look at those
people in their
buses
block.
roll by, and maybe I don't see all of them, I know I don't, but they're virtually empty most of the time. And I know there's some busy routes, but public transportation is important to get cars off the roads too. We have more people here than we've ever had before. So at the end of the day, I'm going to
Those outsiders.
Why? Some may say, well, you've been pretty negative about it, Councilor Bergman. Why would you support it? I'm going to support it because
I was
when
bullied into it
balance
because I'm a
the
fucking
pluses
coward.
against the minuses, I really don't see the minuses. I may not be as optimistic as others about the pluses, but I really don't see the minuses.
Hear that, everybody? We got another
reevaluate this
one.
at the end
We
of a
bullied another one
reasonable period of
successfully
time to
and
see
made
if
him
it had
do
made the
something he doesn't
changes
want to do.
that optimists hoped for.
And now
Is that
he's
a
going to
fish
try
I
and
also say that two department heads.
What'd you say?
Is that a fish? His
and I'm
type
not
would?
going to go against their
Looks like
expert
it.
opinion because
I'm sorry, I
I
didn't mean to interrupt your bullying
I
scream.
No.
Just
in
in
the
the
end
I was just going to
that
say,
this
little bitch
causes what we
Bergman.
all wanted to cause, which is less accidents and less deaths. And I'll keep an open mind towards that. But let me just say that I'm disappointed.
Honestly,
that
Matt,
so many of the
run.
questions
We will
I've just
get you
mentioned
on the
have
council
remained
based on
unanswered,
that.
despite the length of time I had hoped I would find answers for them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Why did he need other people to find those answers?
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Right.
Councilor Russell. I just want to be clear on my items that I asked the city manager to provide the city council items.
Does he really think that it's the
we need
responsibility
to
of
include the streets
staffers at
that
City
are
Hall to
just
answer
on
his
this
stupid,
list
childish
that
questions?
have had fatalities? They were Main Street,
He's a
Stafford
dumb
Street.
moron. You know, what are you going
Belmont,
to
I
do?
think we're already working on Main Street again.
Hey, Brian, did I
Park
show you
Ave
my
and,
kick-ass
you know,
fucking
we're
belt
on
buckle?
Belmont, so if it's different
No.
areas.
All right,
just
let me
to
show you.
prepare this list and
We'll
that we include them in the 25. My other request was that the city manager provide a list of 20-mile-per-hour zones as soon as possible, recommendations that include the schools, the daycares, the senior citizen daycares, senior center.
Oh, yeah, you did
any
send me a
senior
picture of this. You
housing,
got it?
And any
I
other
got it.
facilities.
Solid
County
brass.
Park,
One of
recreation
500
areas that
made by Tony
the
Lama in the
I'd recommend
80s.
that
Massachusetts
get that
State
out
Secret.
right away, because otherwise
is
we
that?
won't have the 20-mile.
Absolutely insane.
We should figure that out
platform
sometime where I can
set it
just
up. I wanna
walk
make
off
sure
my
we get it
camera and
going.
into
the
your
third
living
thing
room.
was for the city manager to work with the state to provide.
And I turn around and
plan to
go,
deal
cool belt buckle.
with
And
the
you go, see you
fatalities
later, and
the
walk back into
safety
your
issues
camera.
on the highways that we are unable to deal with, like Route 20 and 290 especially. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Council.
This is the kind of
Councilor
content I like, Gio.
I just want to make sure, because I know that there's some streets that's in my district that Councilor Russell did not mention, and I did speak with Commissioner Raleigh on those streets. So I just want to make
thanks, Amber.
sure
I'm,
that we are using
pretty happy
the
with it
list that
so
comes
far.
from DTM in terms of the streets that are not at the where they need to be. Belmont Street, obviously, I did last week. But again, Mr. Chairman, I think that the list should come from Department of Transportation and Mobility. I was already working on some of the streets.
Do you think this is going to turn into some like weird ass county thing where like suddenly they're all sticking to the 35-mile-an-hour streets where they can roll coal and like there's suddenly badasses driving around at 30 miles an hour instead of 20 like the rest of us plebes?
So you just want to make sure yours is included and
that they're all included.
Yep. Councilor Tui.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to add requests that the administration will work with the state at the state highway roads at the intersections to make sure that those crosswalks and the lights are actually up to date and modern and working, and that the crosswalks are painted. I live right near one of the most dangerous intersections on Route 20. And in order
It's
to
because
take
she
the
lives
bus to
there
work, I
that
would
it's
have
so
to cross
dangerous.
there, and to be honest with you, I would be taking my life in my hands doing that at this point in time. So that's one of many
Try it.
intersections throughout the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just try it.
So I think we're all set. So I just want to thank Council Court and the Traffic and Parking Committee, all three members, for bringing this forth. I thought the committee did a good job over the last few months putting this together in their meetings, and I want to thank Council.
What's Donna going to do in her committee now?
So what we'll do is
You'll never see it again.
Separately on the proposed ordinance. The motion is to adopt. Then we'll take Councilor Russell's and Councilor Carlson's items collectively as a separate vote. So the first one, I was wrong. We don't. The preamble was on the other.
No joke. On Salisbury Street the other day, I passed a Cybertruck that was wrapped, but it was wrapped with like yellow gold foil wrap.
Yes.
So it was like as the sun is up, it was just like the sun was driving at me down Salisbury Street. I've never seen anything so stupid, dangerous, and more poorly thought out in my life than this asshole just driving was
Councilor
essentially
Bergman?
8
No.
flat
Mr.
mirrors
Loya?
No.
reflecting the
Councilor
sun
Councilor King?
into my
No.
eyes.
Councilor
It's
Carlson?
No.
Councilor
oh
Niel?
really?
No.
Yeah.
Councilor
Let
Hayden?
me know where Epic next time it's
Councilor
up there so I can light it on
Russell?
fire.
Yeah.
Councilor
There's
Toomey?
that person that is clearly someone who needs to have a
No.
brick
So
thrown at their head.
collectively, take
Their
Councilor
municipal
Russell's
brick
3 minutes,
piles
Councilor
will just stand up there and throw them at that
Carlson's
car.
item. Collectively, roll call. Council and Council Toomey's item.
Did
I'm sorry.
was that
Collectively,
Bergman?
roll call.
Yes.
was that
Councilor Loya?
Yes.
unanimous?
Councilor GA?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Oh, sorry. We were doing
Yeah.
No, no,
Councilor
no. I
Carlson?
just
Yeah.
I
Councilor
missed
Niel?
unanimous
if
on the
Bergman.
Councilor Hayden?
throwing bricks to the
Councilor
Cybertruck.
Solo?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Councilor
unanimous.
Russell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes, we have 2 more items associated with this. We have 19B. Council Hajai has asked to go there, that the City Council, City of Worcester, does hereby support expediting the adoption of, expediting the adoption
We
of
did it,
25
everybody.
miles per
Good
hour
job,
citywide statutory speed
everybody.
limit and designations of 20 miles per hour safety zones policies as immediate actions to address the safety of all road users. Further, that the City Council of the City of Worcester does hereby support the inclusion of traffic calming and other complete street safety improvements as part of the city's roadway projects to increase the safety and accessibility of the city's public ways to motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists. So they're going to roll call. Roll call.
Can I speak on it, please?
Council Hajai.
Not a good day to say that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to, first of all, say that last night, the Board of Health, which meeting I attended, along with Interim Chief Saucer and Commissioner Rowley, sent a support, voted on supporting this resolution, but also the 25-mile-an-hour in safety zones. I just wanted to make sure that folks knew that. And that meeting, we had a conversation around the importance of declaring and supporting your statement and that of the city manager, Batista, regarding considering traffic violence a public health emergency. I'm not going to speak long on this. I feel like I've been on a journey of almost 8 months speaking about the importance of those 2 policies, the importance of not opposing complete streets projects when they come in front of our residents, and doing our due diligence to make sure that whenever there is uncalled for opposition, that we take the time to actually understand and trust our experts who know what they're doing, and trust the police department who tell us that enforcement in and of itself does not work if not in tandem with all of the other policies. But let me just stop here. And honestly, at this point, if folks want to vote against a simple measure, a symbolic gesture to say that traffic violence is a public health and safety issue, that's fine by me. I don't, I'm not vested in trying to convince people to do symbolic gestures. So I'm not attached to whatever the outcome is. But I do want to make a point because I feel it's sort of lingering in the room and it needs addressing. To call a sitting female city councilor who is holding the picture of a dead child unhinged is misogynistic at best and really harmful at worst. To also make this conversation about defunding the police is malicious, it is willfully ignorant, and it detracts from the simple point that none of us have said that we don't accept enforcement, or we don't think that enforcement in combination with policy doesn't work. In fact, we all have been saying the same thing that the interim chief of police has been repeating, that it is education, it's engineering, it's enforcement, and it's the collaboration of all of our residents. When I think about the little toddler that's lying in a coma, and when I think about Gianna, and when I think about Ayen, and when I think about Candace, I think about violence. What was committed onto those bodies, those children's bodies, is violent. It doesn't need to be intentional for the impact to be violent on them, on our children, on our families, and on all the school children that will have an empty seat in their classroom. So, Mr. Chair, I'm done with this topic. I feel like this council has done a tremendous amount of frustrating conversations. I'm glad that we unanimously supported 2 bare minimum policies, and I wish
I really, really wish that it didn't have to come with the amount of misinformation and the amount of frustration and delays that followed this journey. However, let's leave all of that in the past and let's recommit ourselves as a body, along with the police department, DTM, and most importantly, all the residents and all the advocates that have done so much work to bring us here, to do more and to at least have a conversation with each other and not make this political and not call us unhinged when we are bringing dead children's pictures to highlight an issue that is life and death for many people in this city.
Okay. Roll call. Councilor Bergman?
Jess just texted me this exact same thing.
Correct.
As it reads, there's been no amendments to this.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Hajia?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Maura Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Pacillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. 11A is motion to adopt the City Council of the City of Worcester. This is from the Traffic and Parking.
Still the
Committee, I
best.
believe, but Chairman's order that the City Council of the City of Worcester does hereby support instituting a citywide 25 miles per hour statutory speed limit. The motion is to adopt. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Okay, that's done. Okay, we go back to the manager's agenda here.
Bye, Oliver.
Let's go. We have appointments. We have the reappointments of 9.2A through D. Recommend the reappointment of Esther Bioma Miyako to the Advisory Committee of the Status of Women. Recommend the reappointment of Mary Nittle to the Green Worcester Advisory Committee. Recommend the reappointment of Timothy Magano and Odita Longabato and Eric Stratton to the Community Preservation Community. And recommend the reappointment of Gabriel Rodriguez to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the trustees. Roll call collectively.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Hajia?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Maura Carlson? Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Pacillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. 9.4, we have a report. This was held last time, and it's now 19D, I believe. So we go to 19D. Is that 19D?
19D?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
Communication of the transmitting information communication.
Walter's one of the
relative to
dumbest
MBTA
motherfuckers that's
committee's
ever
compliance
come
and
across my
economic feasibility
field of vision.
analysis from inclusionary zoning. Isn't that the ED? People want.
He's a
All those
silly
in
person.
favor, opposed, so ordered. Okay, bring us back to our committee. Trustee diversity. We are on 19.13, which is the police department. We have two items also, I believe, in 19E and F. People want to talk.
Again, please, what number?
Okay, I'm gonna
we
read them all.
did. Yeah, they passed it unanimously
19E and F.
because of bullying
19E
and
F,
because of
which is
successful
communication
advocacy
manager,
by
transmitting information,
Patel
communication
and
road
a bunch
to
of
the
people here and a
internal
bunch of
police
people throughout the
detail
city.
Spending.
Yes, Walter Bird.
That will public safety, Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I held that I was looking for some more information. I'm not going to attempt to divert it from committee, but what I would like is an additional report that speaks to last fiscal year and the fiscal year prior to that, Mr. Chairman. So that would be my order.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have that will go to committee. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. We have Councilor King's order. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. We have 19F, Communication Senior Manager, Transmitting Information Communication relative to the Shot Spotter and Resource Router programs. So that Councilor King.
I knew there's a shot
Thank you,
spotter
Mr.
thing.
Chairman. I had a quick question to the chair,
talking about this.
to the administration.
Doesn't work.
If you could speak to.
And I
when
know because I keep
the,
shooting guns near her. one.
contract for
The
shot
cops never
spotter
come.
was extended through the chair.
Chief or law department, one or the other.
Law department sleeping. Go to the chief.
Does he look like he's still sleeping? He looks like he's still sleeping. He does not stir.
Through the chair to the council, can you repeat that, please? What year?
When did the most recent? I know there's current contracts in effect, but if you could speak to when the most recent contract was signed, when it was signed, and when does it end?
Through the chair to the council, I believe it was 2021. It ends in 26. I may be off on that. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
I know it ends in 26, so.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I've spoken on this before, and, again, I'm looking for some additional information. What I will be doing is filing some additional items to get that information. This particular report, it speaks to some of the responsiveness that has occurred from ShotSpotter, but there's also some data that's missing. There's data that's missing regarding efficacy. As we know, and as I've spoken about previously, Senator Warren, our Senator Ed Markey, Ayanna Pressley, and others have engaged the Department of Homeland Security in asking for an investigation into ShotSpotter due to concerns about over-policing and lack of efficacy and the potential violation of civil rights, Mr. Chairman. I'm hopeful that the administration will be taking any and all of that into consideration as we move forward, and I'll have an order in place in the coming weeks to get additional information on this as relates to its effectiveness, Mr. Chairman. I think one of the things that I'll be exploring is looking to our auditor for some additional numbers in terms of auditing this that comes from outside of the department itself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Toomey.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I was just going to ask that we also include a report on the results of
it passed unanimously.
Chicago has seen. I know that there was a recent meeting, and I think the chief may have more statistics on that. But if you listen to the video and listen to the aldermen and the citizens talking about the difference and the incredible effectiveness of that, I think you'll see that there is a great argument to keep this and to continue to move forward. I don't know if the chief wants to talk about that, but.
Chief, if you have any information.
Through the chair to the council, there was information that came out today in reference to Chicago that there were 30,000 ShotSpotter alerts, and 75% of those did not involve a call on 911. They also treated 165 people who were shot, and medical aid could go to them.
Did you say 20,000?
The other thing that came out with that was that Minneapolis just extended their contract.
And 175 injuries?
There were big numbers.
Their mileage.
So, yeah, but 175 is very small compared to. So it doesn't really go to show that
We have a call for
there aren't
some reports.
huge numbers of
So
false
take those
positives.
collectively. Those in
Oh, yeah.
favor, opposed, so ordered. Okay, back to 9.15 from the Law Department. It is recommended the adoption of an ordinance to repeal the special speed regulation governing Belmont Street. Now, to do that, we have the preamble in this one, so I have to take a vote on the preamble, which allows us to vote. So the first one will be on the preamble. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor
You know,
Agia?
Brian, I don't think it's candy cane. I think it's more like early 70s Toyota
Leanne?
Hilux.
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Pacillo?
Yes.
There's some.
Councilor
I think there's orange and yellow in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mayor Petty?
Yeah.
Yes. On the adoption, on the advertising? Any adoption?
We're gonna, actually, I think
know
somebody
what?
passed the ordinance.
I'm going to go in solidarity with Joe.
Roll call on the adoption.
He's gonna pull his
Council
Toyota
Bergman?
Highlander
Yes.
into
Council Caloria?
into his room.
Yes.
Council Haji?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Member Carlson? Council Nguyen?
Yes. Man here.
Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Oh
Council
yeah.
Pacillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
There we are.
Yes. Next is
Couple of cool dudes showing off their
19A,
colors.
transmitting information communication relative to the Office of New Americans. And anybody have any questions? Seeing none, you can save it, Dr. Castillo. But I just want to say that person in charge of that, the groups are doing a good job. And thanks to everybody who's in, mostly from the public and who volunteering their times, whether it be Jillian or whether it be Ide. And I just want to thank, I'm sorry, I want to thank Friendly House too. Thank you. Much
She looks
appreciated.
exhausted
Mr. Chair,
right
can we
now.
take that in public health?
That's where it's going. Yep.
Thank you.
So that's
I love
public
wearing a
health.
headband.
All those in
I'll have to
favor?
roll up a bandana.
On this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Counselor, please
Best.
take note in the record that Counselor Russell has recused himself, and the motion is extended to public health. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Thank you, Trish. Appreciate it.
I know the kids are all about the shiesties these days, but I
Item
think
we
old
have
school
is
bandanas are still where it's at.
9.27A is transmitting information communication relative to the assessments of state buildings as they relate to the real estate taxes. You send that to MO. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna get
We have
them out
finance
before
items,
the debate.
9.35A through C, 9.37A and B. Motions to adopt on a roll call. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Haji?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Member Carlson? Council Nguyen?
Yes.
Council
Dropping
Ojeda?
this in the chat.
Yes.
Just
Council
sent me
Pacillo?
this.
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes, we have items, chairman's orders, 10 point, I'm sorry, 10A.
Mr. Nomad, it is in
and
fact
10J.
true that
Motions to
complaints
adopt.
are legal
All those
in
favor,
Massachusetts now.
opposed, so
You
ordered.
can officially celebrate our eliminating racist Italian
I
laws.
think 10K we refer to Education Committee.
I'm sorry. Let's take
I
that
gotta
over
get a
again.
stiletto.
Shield
Just for-
Hellraiser, I just had this shipped to Massachusetts
10K
last
is
week, so
referred
you
to
are incorrect.
education. Those in
We can
favor,
just get all
opposed, so
fidgety and
ordered.
flickety in
We did
Massachusetts for
11A.
all time now.
Before we go to the orders, maybe, is anybody here for anything from the administration? Or we
Actually
waiting
very
for the
satisfying.
orders?
I think
Okay.
it's like
Everybody's
it's like-
here for.
like
for the show
Wolverine.
tonight?
Snid-
Okay. Thank
you know,
you.
like that. I don't even have
Snick,
to.
snick.
Okay, so we'll take our first order.
Does that mean butterfly knives are legal?
12A, request the manager.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's left is gravity knives.
Publish a dashboard that tracks appointments.
Which
to
is
the
so
city's
weird.
boards and
I like-
commissions,
Massive-
while also providing
I
reporting.
think it's not just that one's not just Massachusetts either. That's like all states
As it
ban
reads.
gravity knives. It's like
Opposed, so
I
ordered.
don't get it. Like that.
B, request the city manager replace.
Of all the
missing
things to be afraid of,
dead-end
gravity.
Signage at the top of Moore Ave.
Hey man, I'm terrified of
which was not,
gravity.
Which was not replaced after its
So
construction.
Amazon won't ship you
Near
anything,
Council.
GL but their prices really aren't that
Those
great
in
either.
favor,
And almost
opposed, so
everything on
ordered.
Amazon
Request
is
the manager,
a counterfeit
replace
these
the
days.
crosswalk
It's
lines
crazy,
at the
especially with
City
knives. I
Village
got
Community Center
Benchmade
located at
is
16,
if you
is it
don't mind
18,
doing local
16
business
Greenwich
with
Street.
the gun parlor
Opposed,
down
so
on Prescott
ordered.
Street. They actually have really good prices on
12B,
Benchmade
request the
stuff
city
there.
manager, request the
But
Commissioner of
if you're going to order
Transportation
online,
and
Blade HQ will
Mobility
send
to
anything
start
to
the
you.
urgency of holding public hearings
Their
at the
prices
Pleasant
are
Street Technic Square
reasonable.
neighborhoods to
Shipping
discuss the
sucks
short-term
with
and
FedEx.
long-term road safety
But all the
changes.
big like knife companies
Construction
will
of
send
122
anything to
Pleasant Street.
Massachusetts. The thing with
Connolly Airport Drive,
Switchblades have actually
Rotary,
always been legal here
request the city manager, request
just
Commissioner of
to
Transportation
own,
and
not
Mobility
to carry. Now they're legal
road
to carry
safety
as the
measures
same way you would a
along the
bucket knife.
airport
But to be
corridor.
honest,
Councilor Haji.
with places like Worcester, they have so
Those
many
in
short
favor,
blade
opposed, so
ordinances and
ordered.
whatnot. It probably hasn't changed much of anything around here.
12E, request that the manager remove the gates from the around the
Yeah,
water.
no one's ever
fountain,
survived oxygen.
Memorial on the Worcester Common. Councilor
True.
King.
100%
Chair,
kill
I'd like
rate.
to amend that just to read, request city manager consider removal of the gates as it reads.
Okay. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered, as amended. That the City Council convene executive session at September 10th, 2024 meeting to the purpose of discussing the legal avenues the City of Worcester can take against the Worcester Polytechnical Institute and the recent proposed acquisition of the Hampton Inn and Courtyard Marriott Hotels in Gateway Park. Councilor
No, I'm going to sue to get my knife back.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I think this council is well aware of what took place at WPI. Mr. Chairman, there were 9 of my colleagues that signed on to this letter, which is identical
I think the fountain at
what the
isn't
order
hooked
is.
up any longer
And at
on
the
Turtle
end of
Boy.
the day, Mr.
No,
Chairman,
I
They're talking
think
about the
they're
other
talking
end.
about
this
the War Memorial
council
fountain right in the center there.
has a right as a body, no differently than the board of WPI, to know what is happening down at WPI and with the city of Worcester. We all know, we were all shared that it's almost approximately $2 million that we would lose with the sale of these hotels. So, Mr. Chairman, if under what Mr. Trainer has shared with me earlier tonight, that we cannot go into executive session on this, I'm happy to discuss this in open session.
Probably
I thought
shouldn't.
that and we've done, by the way, many different items that we were called into executive session for similar situations. Mr. Chairman, I believe that this council has a right to know what happens with the TIF currently. They have a TIF on that hotel. This council has not been brought up to speed. How much is left on that TIF? What does this mean if this hotel is sold to WPI? Nobody has shared with us what the process is. And that's really what we're looking to know. What is the process? And Mr. Chairman, again, this body was elected to serve the taxpayers here in the city of Worcester. This isn't about the city of Worcester suing WPI. This is about what is it that we have for tools in our toolbox. And as an elected body, we have the right to know what those tools are. My understanding, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to know, and I'm fine with open session, what is on the TIF? What is it if they sell this TIF? What's left? And how much money is that? What's the process if they don't live up to that deal? And my understanding, Mr. Chairman, is that falls under Mr. Dunn's department. So, again, my question is, there is a TIF on the hotel down there at Gateway Park. What's left on the TIF?
The
How
TIF
much
runs out
money does that
before
equal
they're planning on
to
stopping
the city
operations of the
Worcester?
hotel. Though.
And if they sell that hotel, what is our recourse to collect those dollars?
Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Sure, through the chair to the council, I'm just bringing up the document here. So I think you're referring to, through the chair to the councilor, the Hampton Inn Hotel. We don't have a TIF agreement on the Courtyard by Marriott. So we have a TIF agreement on the Hampton Inn, which is 65 Prescott Street. And the current owner of that is XSC, is actually the original developer that entered into that agreement had previously sold it to the current owner. And that was executed in March of 2014. The benefits of the TIF was for a term of 7 years. So that property is no longer receiving any benefits of the TIF agreement, but there was a clause in the TIF agreement that requires the company to ensure that regardless of the future ownership of the property, that it will remain taxable or pay a tax equivalent payment for a 14-year period from the start of the TIF plan, unless the property is repossessed or foreclosed upon by a mortgagee. And so that 14-year duration runs through June 30th.
Yeah, I can't get either one.
2029.
And what is the dollar value of that, Mr. Dunn?
Through the chair to the councilor, it's subject to the annual assessment of the property. So it's paying full taxes right now. There's no benefits from the TIF agreement being offered. So I know that there's been some numbers shared.
Why
in
is this
terms of what
happening in a
the,
public meeting?
Property
This
is
is-
currently contributing, but it's not to
Because
say that
they
that's the number that was
couldn't do it in a
most
executive
recently
session, and
generated
she's
would
stupid
be the
enough to
same number of real
force it
estate
to happen.
taxes throughout.
I mean, this is the email. Like this is
2029. So for FY24, the real estate taxes generated from the hotel, according to the report I have from administration and
never
finance,
mind.
was
These are all.
$275,000.
Imagine if the councilors read the actual agreements they signed off on with developers when they were signing them.
I presume if they did not sell this hotel,
Yeah, I bet you read the
that it
friggin'
would be a minimum
terms of service on your new Apple device every time too,
$275,000
huh?
that we would get for the remainder of this agreement is.
Mr. Dunn?
Through the chair to the councilor, I think that's a reasonable expectation, because otherwise, if it was less than
yes, I believe you're
275,000,
right.
that would be the result of the assessed value decreasing on the property. And I think it's a reasonable expectation that we wouldn't see that happening.
And my understanding, Mr. Chairman, is that there was a corporation agreement for the WPI project. And there was a vision for Gateway Park. And that in this agreement, there was a requirement for the properties to remain taxable. So again, Mr. Chairman, I'm not looking to put anybody on the spot tonight, but I do believe that this council has a right to know what is in that corporation agreement for us as a city, because again, we as a body, we were told, and I know I was told, that the amount of money that we would lose, and again, what are the ramifications to someplace like the DCU? Again, I think as a council, we have the right to know that this money with the diff down there and what this money went to, again, let's put things all equal here, and that we hope for the best, and that there is, WPI comes to the table and we don't have to worry about all this. That's hopefully our game plan. But I don't think for 1 minute, and I have to tell you, I was completely taken back by getting a phone call today to say that we could not go into executive session in regards to this particular item with WPI. Again, there's a lot of unanswered questions. What happens with WPI? And again, we've heard bits and pieces. This is what we've heard in the news media and not anything from the administration. That WPI plans on leaving this hotel.
You're in your second 5, too.
Thank you. Doesn't happen too often. But again, in the newspaper, we read that WPI potentially will continue to leave one of the hotels on the tax rolls. What happens to the second one? Again, we're talking about loss of revenue, and we're also talking about loss of beds, hotel beds. And we know what the city right now already suffers from not having enough of hotel rooms. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure how this works at this particular juncture, but I do believe that now we are, you as well, Mr. Chairman, let me back up, had asked for the reports on this. And again, Mr. Chairman, I believe that we should have seen something on this particular project. Again, I'm not naive to negotiations. I clearly understand that, as I'm sure the rest of my colleagues do, and I'm not speaking for them. But we do, and we should have seen something in regards to WPI and where this is leading, because this will turn into, if we're not on top of this, does this turn into a $2 million burden and then some? Because I think if you take that $275,000 and you continue to roll that up and move that forward, it turns into a much bigger number, Mr. Chairman. And again, I will say tonight, in the form of an order,
She doesn't care.
I
She's
would
voting for
hope
Trump.
that we would get something in writing from this administration for next week. And again, I'm
And I
not
say that
looking
knowing
for
that she's
somebody to
part of the Democratic Party in
give up
Massachusetts.
any of
Still
the
thinks she's fucking voting for Trump.
negotiations in terms of
good
what
fit.
they're doing. But
That's a business
I think
move for
in
her.
terms of the corporation agreement, the city council should have a copy of that. And I think that we should also have with the, I know when Mr. Dunn said that technically I'm not sure if you could restate about the TIF, that it's not a TIF. They have to pay $275,000 for the next several years. So that's an agreement that is with the city of Worcester.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes, through the chair to the councilor, the entire duration of the TIF agreement is 14 years, but only the first 7 of those years actually had a tax savings associated with the property. But at the time when that was being negotiated and went through the process going through the city council, there was a clause that was included in the TIF agreement to ensure that the property would be at full taxation for at least as long as the period that they received those benefits. So that's where the 14-year comes from. So right now, it's just a fully taxable property, and it was incorporated in the agreement to make sure that there was some longevity to that full taxation.
Okay, so I would like to see that in a form of a report, Mr. Chairman, and any other communications that the city has had with WPI in terms of the original agreements. And again, Mr. Chairman, I just want to reiterate that this entire body has gone on record in saying that we'd like to know what is happening at WPI.
So, yes, we'll get those reports on next week, Mr. Dunn, if we can. I think the manager's calendar is next week, and we'll if we get something on that. Councilor Russell.
Mr. Chairman, back when this item, when the TIF that Mr. Dunn was referring to came before the city
She doesn't
council,
like it
I was
when
on the city council at that time, and I
schools
was on the
do
economic
development.
committee at that time.
You just
And with
want
the leadership
shady
of,
businessmen
with the
to do it.
leadership of Councilor Rick Rushton and former Mayor Joe Bryan, the other 2 members of that committee, this TIF that was put in place came to that committee. In fact, it's the only one that I can remember where we said no, where they came back a second time with the second hotel downtown as part of the package. And we're talking, just to clarify, if my memory serves me correct, this is for only one of the 2 hotels. It's only one of the 2 hotels. It's only the one in the back, because that was the one that they split the lot off. With the front one, the university could do whatever they want with it if they buy it, I would think. And correct me if I'm wrong to any of the city staff. And it also does not include any of the hotel taxes, the room taxes. So it's a substantial number, even if we're getting $275,000 or thereabouts each year on that one hotel for the remainder of that term. It's very small percentage. So I just want to clarify that, and I want to remind folks and thank my former colleagues on that committee for their leadership on that item. And to be honest with you, thinking about going forward with these other things, as TIFs and other proposals come in, we should be thinking about it. This was one of the first ones where we insisted.
They are
on
public, Camber.
for people.
They're voted on publicly anyways, but the details of them are,
And it sounded
it's
to
probably
work.
more like asking to see like a
Good
like a
job.
mortgage agreement or a big
goes by
chunk
very
of
quick.
tax code blind. Like
Councilor,
it's there,
King?
but not going to make any sense.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize if this was already stated, but this has always been, to one degree or another, an aspect of governmental relations for me. And perhaps I missed it, but through the chair to the administration, if they could share a little bit about the recent dialogue that's been occurring that I'm not aware of between the city and the institution, what inroads are being made, and where are we at in the sense of all that. I think that was also something I was looking to see and hear today or at the next meeting. So the floor is open. I'm going to ask that now, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, to the chair, to the councilor, we are meeting with the school. I am hopeful that we are moving in the right direction with the school. They're at the table. We've met a couple times now. We've gone back and forth. I think the Councilor Candy Mel Carlson alluded to it. I think it's still really preliminary right now in terms of the specifics of the deal. That's something that we're working on right now. And in fairness to both parties, I wouldn't want to state any of that in public, of course. So, but I will say I am hopeful about the direction.
I think that was part of the spirit that we were looking to get up-to-date information in a session, and it sounds like we're not willing to get that today. Is there any additional information that can be added regarding that dialogue through the chair? Because that wasn't very much.
No, we're in the middle of negotiations, so it's hard to.
I understand that.
Yeah. So what are we looking for then? Anything you can share?
I would
beyond
like
that?
any additional information. I think the purpose of us meeting in an executive session was to have a dialogue where we could have information as a council, as a legislative body, pertaining to these sorts of negotiations. And my understanding is that we were going to discuss that on the floor this evening. And so, there hasn't been much communication outside of hopefulness and things of that
Who's
nature.
over there running public relations for
wanna
the community
give one more
engagement for
opportunity,
WPI now? Is Cola Kindley still over
to
there,
the
or is they moved on to
administration
somebody else?
Provide any additional details.
I think it's somebody
So
else.
that we can be.
Can't remember. I talked to them
Addition we can provide or no?
2 years ago.
Nope. To the chair, to the councilor. Right
They're-
now, all
they're-
I can say
they're
is,
not- I
again,
will say,
I'm hopeful with the direction
they're
that we're
relatively
heading in.
tight-lipped
We're both at the
organization
table.
over
We've
there.
met.
Yeah, totally.
And again, I can't really share the specifics and kind of the any of the strategies and things like that. I think that's again, they're at the table. We're at the table. We're talking. And I am feeling positive about the direction that we're heading.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, it looks like Cola is
Thank
still
you.
over
So
there.
take
Hey, look,
the-
we should reach out to him and see if he would
I'll be quick, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
come on and talk with us.
Just a question to you, Mr. Chairman, or through you to the acting city manager. Have we discussed with our municipal delegation the state pending state legislation that was mentioned last week by both Councilor King and myself, and asking them for any sort of advocacy at the State House for us? Has that happened at all?
Do we know that?
At
I
least
know
the
we set up
Rubik's
a meeting
Cube.
with the delegation, with the manager and myself for our annual.
We should be able to get
meeting,
that.
and that's on the agenda, I think, so.
Oh, to the chair, has any thought been given to have the representation from WPI invited to a meeting with the state delegation, or somehow communicate the state delegation's feelings about this issue to WPI? Part of the frustration I have is, and maybe others on this council had different communications, but I found out about this when everybody else found out about it pretty much in the newspaper, which would be okay.
Yeah,
if-
'cause you ain't
if
fucking
that's
connected, pal.
Universal, but my understanding was the meeting several weeks before where others found out about it. And I just think in some respects, That shouldn't happen again in the future. I mean, if there's an issue that's happening that we need to know as counselors, we need to know.
Oh no, Brendan's
And,
sick because he ate too many potatoes.
disappointed
No,
that
I'm genuinely laughing my
other
ass
people
off because if
working
Mo
in
legitimately
that
found out about this
missed
from
a
the
week,
newspaper, he is
should have to
literally
take
the
a
most
newspaper
out of
and
touch
ask
person
them
in the
to
city of
I'd
Worcester.
have to make a phone call to find out when several weeks went by and certain people.
I think we
in
found out about
administration
it
knew
before the
about it,
paper.
and I at least didn't. So I just leave that as a comment, not as a question. I understand there's more information forthcoming next week, but it's very frustrating to be treated that way, quite honestly. Thank you.
Well, that's what you get when you're kind of a jerk. Nobody wants
Nobody
to
wants
talk.
to fucking talk to you, dog.
I just want to clarify one thing. We've got a request from a councilor signed off by, I think, the whole city council. And we're being told by the law department and by the administration that we can't ask these questions. And the acting city manager is telling us that he can't talk publicly about it, but we can't have an executive session.
It's not the acting
Is that
city
what's
manager,
going
it's
on
the
here?
assistant city manager, right?
Yeah. Maybe,
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Trainer, maybe you can explain why on the executive session.
Because if I hold, with all due respect to the acting manager, is that he's telling us that he doesn't want to talk about it publicly, which is reasonable. But why don't we have an executive session? We've had him dozens
He
of
didn't
times.
want to fucking talk to you at all, dude.
Through the chair to the counselor, there's 10 exceptions to the open meeting law that allow you to go into executive session. The closest one to this that we use is a litigation strategy, but that is only to go in and speak about active ongoing litigation or litigation that is imminently, demonstrably likely or imminently threatened by a third party. This is from the AG's open meeting law guidebook, and I actually spoke to one of the assistant attorney generals today to confirm my understanding. The public body's discussion with its counsel does not automatically fall under this or any other purpose for holding an executive session. So in other words, to have just a general discussion with counsel as to what options are for moving forward, it doesn't include filing a lawsuit. That's not grounds to go into executive session.
Okay.
I have nothing before me that says I can put together a complaint and say, okay, this is what we're going to sue them on. Let's meet and talk about it. That information has not been brought to me. There's been nothing to tell me that there's anything that is actionable in terms of litigation at this time.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Trainer, would there be a problem with the manager or the acting manager meeting individually with councilors or with groups of 2 or 3 councilors like they do with the budget briefings?
Through the chair of the council, no, it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, what I would recommend that something like that be done, because there needs to be some communication here, Mr. Chairman. Whatever I count on you for your leadership and knowledge of what needs to be done, but the communication needs to happen here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Russell. So we'll send that Councilmember
you know,
order to the manager. And,
I agree
get the
that
information back for the
WPI
next week.
is
in
acting
favor?
a little shady potentially, I mean, without knowing all the details.
Yep.
But yeah, this is about their egos as opposed to what's really good for what's really good or bad for the city.
G, request the manager, request the city.
Whether or
chief
not, I mean,
development
I don't.
officer
I think
provide city
overall this
council with
is
the
mixed.
report concerning the
the
feasibility
city,
of working
but
with community partners to bring a daily.
it just goes. It just shows what it
table
really
to
says is
the,
how much
to
of
the
a
city
joke
council
the city
facility.
council is.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to start by thanking Casey Burns from the Greater Worcester Healthy Coalition. We met a couple weeks ago to talk about the Worcester Community Food Assessment, and she brought up the Daily Table. So this is a nonprofit grocery chain with 5 locations throughout the state. It was created in 2012 by the former president of Trader Joe's, and they're dedicated to providing
Joe.
fresh, nutritious food at affordable prices. So with all of our Stop and Shop discussions, and I appreciate everyone's support, we've all been meeting and trying to push that forward. I just think it'd be great to give folks in the Northern Lincoln Street area, or really anywhere in the city where this would fit, a different choice for a grocery store. So basically, the Daily Table partners with food manufacturers, retailers, local producers. They have funding from grants and corporate donations. Their sales revenue actually covers 70% of their operating costs, and they partner with community organizations from interfaith groups, educational, governmental, all kinds of people contribute to this. They serve roughly 11,000 people a week. And a really cool thing besides the affordable prices that they offer is they have pre-made meals like grab and go. So you can get a really healthy dinner, a snack. It's cheaper than McDonald's or fast food options. And basically they just remove the barrier to eating well. the economic barrier to eating well. So my idea is I'd love to see one in the city. I'd love to work together with the administration, community groups. And, you know, when we address these disparities in food access, we can empower communities to lead healthier lives while also fostering sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. So all those in favor? Opposed? So ordered. Next is request the manager provide council with a report concerning the processes in place to hold Public Works Department contractors responsible to a timeline for their quality of work. Councilor Pacillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to start by saying I do appreciate all the infrastructure work that is being done throughout the city. It's wonderful. We're getting new sidewalks in Burncoat. They're beautiful. They look great. Residents have reached out multiple times to compliment the workers. They've been friendly and helpful. I just don't understand why. I don't know how to say this. You'll see people working on the sidewalks, whether it's Burncoat Street, Midland Street, Forest and Grove Street, and they'll be working, and then they're gone. And they're gone for weeks. And residents are reaching out to me. It's very frustrating. And just to add an extra layer to this, the Burncoat sidewalks in front of the high school and middle school, they rushed to complete them before school started. They started working on the sidewalks in front of Forest Grove on the first day of school. Same with Midland. And I have residents, they're walking their kids to school. They have to jump off the sidewalks, go into the street. These are our most vulnerable residents. It's literally children walking to school. And I'm having a really hard time understanding why this seems to happen every construction season. So, you know, ultimately, I do have some questions. And my questions, I don't know if they can be answered, if I should address them to the assistant city manager or, because I don't think anyone's here.
We can get the Commissioner of Public Works to, unless it's DTM, I'm not sure. Ask a question. I think it's Public Works, right?
It's probably more Public Works, right?
So we asked them for a report back.
And that's fine. And I'm going to ask them so we can all just have some clarification. I have no idea how many construction inspectors there are in the city, how many projects they oversee, what's their reporting process, how often do they go to job sites, what are the permit restrictions? I just really felt that the incomplete sidewalks at the start of school.
Stick to the script, Jenny. We're supposed to be angry about a fucking college we have no oversight on, right?
Right. So I understand weather, supply chain, all these things can affect a project, but I just feel like we really need to find a way to tighten up these projects so we're not so disruptive to neighborhoods and to residents. You know, the goal is public safety and accessibility. The sidewalks on Burncoat Street were not accessible for the entire summer. And it was very upsetting to see. You know, I could walk with my kids, but I would see other people in walkers with strollers. They'd have to go into the street. It's just a level of respect for residents in our neighborhoods. This disrupts daily life. And I understand that, and everyone understands that. But when these projects drag out for an entire summer and into the fall, it is very, very frustrating. And ultimately, the lack of communication. So residents don't know when their driveway is going to be fixed, and then it's fixed and the quality of work isn't great. So I have to go out and take photos. People are upset. I just really would like to tighten this up before next season. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's send this to Public Works and get a report back on the additional information that you requested. And everybody want to sign on? Or? Okay. Yeah. Well, my name's not there. I asked to sign on.
Mr. Chairman, to the administration, you mean, right? Not to the Public Works Committee.
What's that?
You said Public Works, not to the committee.
I was going to send it to the committee.
Right?
You want to send it to the committee? Then we'll get the other
I wanna make
reports
sure
that
it
you
goes to
requested.
administration too, so it doesn't go.
What's it? All set
Yeah.
then? Okay. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered, as amended. Okay. We are on 12I, request that the city manager work with Preservation Worcester to develop a plan to restore all the pillars running along Burncoat Street. Councilor Pacillo.
As it reads.
Jenny, thank you.
Opposed,
Gosh.
so ordered. 12J, request the manager provide the council report concerning the the extent to
I
which
want to see
the
how
city
much
can be
Donald Trump looks like a
notified
rotted pumpkin
when
tonight.
properties are being purchased. and for
He
what-
actually looks
what
like
intent
he's.
those
It looks like
properties
an.
will be used for.
Mostly for
Request
both
that
of
city
them, it
manager
looks like an
include
open
into the
casket.
report
By the
a
way,
review of the process and
the makeup
bad.
is
developers
terrible
on best
tonight.
practices
But him in
should be
particular,
used
it's.
when said developers conduct.
It's like the
neighborhood
one where the
meetings and
family looks
efforts
at
to
each other like,
respect
really? Do
neighborhood
we want to?
residents
Should we just
and
close
their
the
needs.
gasket?
Said best practice should not include.
Maybe we just
holding
open
such
the
hearings
feet
prior to
end
developers
of the
purchasing
casket.
a property and using said property in a way that may impact the makeup of a neighborhood. Councilor Ojeda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, as you saw earlier today, a few residents came and spoke about some major issues and concerns they're having with projects in their neighborhood. I think District 4 is getting hit a lot. They're taking a big pinch on some of these projects. Just looking at these two projects here, the zoning map amendment on 55 Benefit Street and 66 Southgate Street. Recommendation is from the planning board role is in this matter to make a recommendation to the city council with respect to the proposed zoning change. In doing so, the board should consider how development is shaped under the current and proposed zoning district and determine whether the proposed changes with further development in a manner consistent with community objectives and compatible with the neighborhood. So the concern I'm seeing, I'm dealing with and having a ton of neighborhood meetings with these things is just that, is understanding that we need to create a process where meetings are taking place, who is in attendance, and meeting notes are shared. Also, find ways to educate residents on how they can address their concerns with projects coming into the neighborhood. I've been in, obviously, like I said before, resident meetings where the residents are told.
He's actually doing the whole "they're taking over
lawyers as
Midwest
well,
towns" thing.
that
This is
they're only
wild.
here because they needed a variance. So if they didn't need a variance, they wouldn't even have these conversations. They wouldn't even be talking to the residents. Now, for me, that's disrespectful to residents that've been living there, who've had established families there, who've been there for generations and generations. Or they're being told that if they can't move forward with the project, that this project could just sit there, or someone can build something else there and not inform the residents. Another concerning thing is we're not hearing from developers that they want to be good neighbors, right? We're not hearing that, they'll join to support the residents on the current issues they're dealing with. I'm really concerned with this process. I understand we have neighborhoods that don't look great, but the people that live in them are great. They have raised families for generations in neighborhoods, raised people who have become just like us, people who care about the community, who care about the neighborhood. Someone said in the zoning board meeting that I watched that we're going to look back 15 to 20 years from now, and we're going to look back and see that we made a huge mistake in what we've done to our city. What's going to happen is, and what I don't want is, we cannot take away the identity of our neighborhood simply because the zoning board says this is what the city wants. And that really concerned me. I've heard that several times in some of the meetings, or actually the lawyers and developers. So they're obviously having these conversations with the zoning board and planning boards. But by saying that, it makes people think that us as councilors, the mayor, the city managers, that we agree on that. And I don't think that's right to say that to residents who trust us and believe in us to make sure their voices are heard, their concerns are met, and the quality of life at the forefront is in our decision making. I bring this forward to develop a creative process that seeks to incorporate neighborhoods and developers to work together to create what is best for the residents and developers. Residents need to be at the table, not kept outside of those discussions that will directly impact their way of living. These residents are the ones that will deal with the issues of unwanted projects and could potentially be passed on to the new residents, which could change the culture of neighborhoods. I think back to when I met Lorraine. We all know she was Green Island, she is Green Island. And if she was here today, she'd be the one campaigning that. And she wouldn't be quiet. She would support the rest of the district as well, and other parts of the city as well when we're dealing with this. I think it's real unfortunate that, in the Green Island neighborhood, they're dealing with an issue where, promises were made to them. And our former city manager here says it right here. I also see that those properties aren't being targeted for any kind of action. This gives the city and the neighborhood some defense too. If some developers came in and purchased properties and decided we're going to put up something we all don't think is right for the neighborhood or the development, we can't protect them. We can't protect them from a strip mall coming in or something completely inconsistent with what we're looking to see. It's also protecting the neighborhood, protecting the development as well. So this is one of the positive aspects to this. So, and remembering back to before I took council and hearing these meetings that they've had 6 years ago, 8 years ago, about those properties in the Green Island neighborhood, that was told to them that these things won't take place. And the developers are coming in and they don't know about this stuff, right? So the planning board and the zoning board are saying, have these meetings, but they're putting the residents and these developers and these owners against each other. But when they have these meetings and they go back to the planning board, who knows what's going on, because these projects are still built. They feel as though, you know, they made differences from 36 units to 32 units. They changed the parking from 35 to 40 parking spots. And it's still not addressing the issues that people have there. Again, they're not coming in saying they want to be good neighbors. They're not saying they're helping with the drugs and the drug use and alcohol abuse in the neighborhoods. They're not talking about the mental health issues that the residents are dealing with. They're definitely not taking care of the parking issues in certain areas. So that's my concern, and I'm hoping that, you know, the administration can look at this and find ways where we can put things in order or things in place to prevent neighborhoods from changing. You know, I'm with a partnership with the TDI on Pleasant Street. There was obviously TDI on Main Street. So things like that, I think we need to really look into as far as just having developers come in.
The idea of electrical votes is very fun because Donald Trump would say that those are illegal.
I think it's unfair to the residents who live there.
That's what we should convince him, that electoral is electrical.
30, 40,
and then
50 years.
he'll
We have a
abolish the
similar
electrical
project going on
college.
Park Ave, where residents have been there their whole life, 50 years, 60 years, and they don't want to move, but they see the change coming, and that's unfortunate for them. That's unfair to them. And I feel as though, you know, we need to take a stance on this and understand that, yes, housing is an issue, and we want to support that. But to what extent are we going to do that? Are we going to take it to the point where it becomes a detriment to the neighborhood? Because at the end of the day, when the building's done, the developers, the owners, they're not the ones managing the properties most of the times. The residents are the ones dealing with these new residents. And that what happens is that will change the culture of our neighborhoods. And lastly, speaking of culture of neighborhoods, that's what makes Worcester so beautiful, right? We have so many different types of ethnicities and cultures in different pockets in different areas of our city that we cannot look to change because, you know, we're worried about the housing. Well, we need to help find these developers different areas or come up with creative ways, not just looking to build 6, 7 stories where now these neighborhoods are hidden behind them.
Thank you. So send that to the manager. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
I think, Mr. Mayor, for the record, Councilor Russell recused himself.
Councilor Russell recused himself. And, okay. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 12K, request the manager review the crosswalks on Main Street in the vicinity of Clement Street and Marble Street and the McDonald's at 996, 995 Main Street for the purpose of ensuring all ramps are ADA compliant and handicap access ramps.
As it reads.
Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Next one, request the manager, request the Commissioner of Public Transportation and Mobility conduct a traffic study in the vicinity of Elm Park on Russell Street between Highland Street and Elm Street in an effort to increase pedestrian safety and for the purpose of installing speed calming measures. Councilor Ojeda.
Can we take the next two as well?
Take it with it. Okay. Request the manager, request Commissioner of Transportation Mobility conduct a traffic study on Elm Street from Chestnut Street to Park Ave in order to increase pedestrian safety and for the purpose of installing speed calming measures. Councilor Ojeda.
I think we all know we've been dealing with this for many months, and you know, it'd be interesting to see that type of traffic study, especially in those neighborhoods where from Elm Street all the way down to Russell, talking probably about Chestnut all the way down, where I believe there's only one stoplight, and no stop signs. A lot of residents are really concerned. I've been having neighborhood meetings there as well, and they're really concerned with the speed there. So if we can, you know, look into that and find put some more calming measures in those areas of the city. And then I'll just stand because I have the next one.
Okay, the next is like those two. We'll send those to the manager. Are those in favor? Opposed, so ordered. N, request the manager install
you little
trash
pole
receptacles
worm.
in the vicinity of Elm Park, including along the sidewalks around the edge of the park and acts across the street of the park on Elm Street and Russell Street. Councilor Ojeda.
Yes, this is definitely major support for the residents there. The park is nice. Obviously, we have some issues with some of the pond, But my concern is, and the residents are correct. I've seen it. I go by it very often. The trash receptacles are actually in the park, but when people park, obviously they're parking on the sidewalk. On the street near the sidewalk. So all the trash is on the sidewalk or it's on the street, and same across the streets where people, when they go visit the park, they park across the street. So a lot of the residents are, they're really concerned about the trash there. Them themselves are the ones that pick it up, but then they have nowhere to put the trash. So this is support of what's going on, and I'm hoping we can make this happen. Thank you.
Okay. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. O, request the manager provide council with a draft ordinance for the purpose of establishing, creating a process to establish 20 miles per hour school zones at all schools. Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This comes on the heels of the order I filed a year ago about trying to get an audit of school signage and school zones across the city to make sure that we have equity in that manner, particularly in more densely populated places. Mr. Chairman, I am the father of a public school student. I know that on her school, on one side of the school, there's signage. On the other side, which is a often traveled, highly traveled route, there is no signage. I know that in the village, in Quincy Village, there's a lack of signage, Mr. Chairman. And in having this discussion with folks, it became clear that we do not have language in our ordinances for the purpose of establishing 20-mile-per-hour school zones at all of our schools. So we're really looking to create that process. I would ask for the administration, through the chair to the administration, if they could speak to this item and sort of how long it might take for us to get that draft.
Pro tip, put the
have been
debate audio on over the council talking.
The safety of our students.
Listening to Christian talking about executing babies, hey, it's just been the most amazing thing that I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Hawley, Commissioner.
Thank you. Through the chair. So we have been conducting the requested audit of school zones, starting with elementary schools as our first priority. So that work is well underway, and we hope to report back on that soon. In terms of an ordinance, it's correct. Our current city ordinance is silent on how school zones get established. So that's something that should be corrected. It, in my opinion, should be an easy fix, and we are ready to work with the law department to expedite that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do think it should be duly noted that our Department of Transition and Mobility, law enforcement, solicitor, the administration, our counselors are all working hard on making sure folks are safe. This particular school matter, is definitely so important. We heard earlier a colleague talking about doing the streets at the beginning of the school year at some of our schools. And I'm just want to make sure that this is on the radar of all of us as at-large counselors, district counselors, that we should also be working towards ensuring that signage is posted. That stuff matters, and looking forward for the draft ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Send that to the manager. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. The next item is P. Request that the manager request the Commissioner of Public Works and Parks repaint the crosswalks at Bailey Road and Property Lane. Councilor Bergman.
As it reads.
All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Request the same manager remove the overgrown trees and trash along Bailey Road for the better driver pedestrian site. Councilor Bergman.
As it reads.
Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Request the manager request the Commissioner of Public Works and Parks provide council with a report determining the ownership of frontage along Bailey Road to Fox Meadow and to access the possibility of adding sidewalks at that location. Councilor Bergman.
Well, as it reads, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Okay, request that the manager work with the police chief to initiate a strategic placement of the file number of roadside unmanned police cars throughout the city as a potential traffic calming intervention that may prevent speeding. Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This actually came up in our subcommittee meeting on the 4th or whatever it was. One of the things that I had talked about in that subcommittee meeting was the importance of visibility of law enforcement as it relates to traffic enforcement, as it relates to traffic calming, Mr. Chairman. And in that discussion, I had asked the acting chief, will not the old method of having an unmanned police vehicle at strategic locations in cities and towns was a thing of the past? Was that not a best practice, et cetera? And what I was informed is that those are sometimes called ghost cars, and that it is actually a tactic and a strategy that can be used, particularly when there's a need for additional.
Ghost cars are
traffic
cars that
enforcement
you
and perhaps
3D
a
print,
lack of capacity.
right?
We know that the department
Based
is in
on
the
plans that
midst
you
of
download from
reorganization
like
as relates
Silk
to
Road.
this. They're reassigning some of their
Defense
police
distributed.
officers who are on motorcycles to the traffic division and the related radar training. Mr. Chairman, the facts are that parking unmanned police vehicles is associated with a large reduction in speeding, particularly over a 10-day period. Now, you know, we have other ways of traffic calming, but certainly as we're looking to make sure we have all tools.
Then they do a presentation about it before prom.
In the toolbox at the ready. This should be something that's very
blood red asphalt,
much doable for us as a city. Removal of unmanned police vehicles do result in a return to the pre-intervention of that speeding calming measure, Mr. Chairman, but I certainly know that even if you're doing the speed limit and you're driving, you see a car, I know for me, you hit the brakes. And this is just another means by which folks can hit the brakes. And I haven't seen that in
I
quite
spill
some
my
time here in
fucking
the city of Worcester.
gummy bears everywhere.
I would like to see
Drive
it.
off the road.
That's something we can do in short order and take a look at
my happy colas
this approach. I know that again.
Matt, thanks for joining us tonight. Great job in public comment.
Aware of this, Mr. Chairman.
We'll see you at the polls.
Do anything
Worm
we
in the
can
polls
to impact as a potential traffic calming intervention. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ojeda.
Yeah, just quickly, and I'm glad Councilor King brought this forward because, you know, several meetings that I've had throughout District 4, that's something that they mentioned. I know, especially on Park Ave, there's a police officer that's there, but he parks towards the back of, not William Street, the other street.
I just want to say,
St. Spirit's Church, where he parks in the back.
can I read you guys a text I got that
and
I don't think I'm ever going to forget now.
hoping that they can just park up right
in
there on
one of my group texts. It doesn't matter why, but
on
somebody
Worcester Street,
made a weird
to
post
have,
about
like, and I've always
9/11
thought that
being
as well. So
tomorrow.
thank you,
And
Councilor
so
King. Hopefully
me and some of my friends
we can
were
get that stuff going
talking
sooner
about
rather
how
than
weird it was. And
Councilor King.
Again, and
my
I
friend
just want to give credit
talked about
to,
how like
some of the residents that
that
reached out
day,
to me about this issue.
and my friend wrote this
One of
text.
the questions being
And
asked
it
by
just
the
says,
public,
I had fake sick that day
was
and watched the
about
second
lack of
plane hit the tower in
visibility,
my grandparents' motorhome
of
that was
police
parked in my
in
driveway that they
places and
lived out of.
spaces where there's been
And
challenges for vulnerable road users.
I don't know what that needs to be, if that needs to be on a mug
you know,
or like
speeding,
one of
we
those
as a
lawn
council
signs
and
or
on the
something, but
traffic
I
and
need that
with that chairperson
printed
was often calls
somewhere
for
that I could just like
enforcement,
look to it.
in various forms.
That is the most.
And you know, this is really a call for increased.
That's the most
visibility, Mr.
American thing
Chairman.
ever. That's the most.
A lot of the folks that reach out.
That's the
to me
most
from
Hopedale thing
KDK,
I've ever heard in
you
my
know, that
life.
Most of the time, or often, it is the case that when police are visible, are at traffic details, and I think that we can do a little bit more in terms of presence. You know, in the various sectors, we know, based on all the information that we've gathered during this, these most recent attempts to calm the traffic, what streets we're talking about, and where those speeding hotspots are, Mr. Chairman. So this is simply a call for increased visibility and tempered enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll send that to the manager. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. that the City Council of the City of Worcester does hereby support the passage of question 2 to replace the MCAS graduation requirement and require instead that the district certify that students have satisfied completed coursework demonstrating mastery of the skills and knowledge required by the Commonwealth strong statewide standards in order to graduate. I don't know, should I get down? Oh, you get no. Okay, I'll be real quick then. Okay, just be real quick. There's been some, I think, misinformation, but you know, we still have strong standards to graduate the Worcester Public School students, whether it's the MCAS. They're not eliminating the MCAS test; they're keeping the test. However, when you have a student that needs to can't go into the workforce because they don't have their degree, and even though they met all the standards put forth, and
what is this note
he's
reading
firsthand
off of?
as chair of the school committee, you see the
just got past him.
some of the pressure that's put on students, and so I think
From big
comments here
MCAS.
tonight.
Do you like
And also
me?
there's
Yes,
huge
no.
disparity in the state of Massachusetts when it comes to Latino youth. When it comes
Yeah,
to
system that's
the
one that like
authorities
really
speaking
fucks with
about
my
this.
head. That
when
like
you see
people
the
like you were
state
that young
versus
at that time.
peers,
I still
there's a
can't. I
huge
can't rectify
discrepancy
it in
between
my noodle.
peers
I know.
and youth.
Because it breaks my
And
heart
youth
that there is, like you said, there's.
Worcester.
It's not that people don't
So,
remember 9/11.
That's why I'm
It's
supporting
that people
this.
don't remember how
And
life
on the
was
ballot
actually
in
fun.
November. Councilor King.
Like, there was throughout the 90s, like
Tim, I look
fun was
forward
legal.
to
Like
voting this on
being
the
weird
ballot.
and
I'll
just fucking
stand in
wandering
support of
around
this.
doing drugs and like
You know,
committing
I wanted
crimes
to make
was
a couple of statements.
that was
as
normal.
related. I jotted down. and
That's
some
just what we
notes
did.
here.
And then
Since,
overnight, we turned into a complete fucking security state. Like
stand
all the
before you,
nationalism
Mr.
and stuff
as a
aside,
father
like
of a multilingual
man,
student,
it's so weird.
in
2
elementary
years
school
later,
from a multilingual
me
family, Mr. Chairman.
and I was a freshman in
And,
high school when it
you
happened.
know, we have to
Me and my
get
friends,
beyond
my
a
brother and a
single
couple of our
test,
friends
Mr.
were
Chairman.
making like a video.
You know,
Like
I
we
tend
used to make like short film,
you know,
like
when I
dumb
hear the
sketches
chamber
and stuff.
come in here advocating
And we were shooting
in
it up
opposition,
in Leicester on
to
one
this
side of the
particular
reservoir up
ballot
there.
question. When it comes to listening to
and
those folks,
Leicester
I
cops
prefer
rolled up
to,
on
to
us
really
and
rely
threatened to
on a
arrest us and
consortium
said,
of
"Haven't you heard
educators
about
that have
9/11?
come out in
Don't you
support of
know that
students.
they
I'm a
like
frontline
you
social
could get
worker in this
arrested
city,
under terrorism
approaching
charges?
3
We could
decades where
like,
I've seen
we
firsthand,
could
as
send you to
mentioned by the
Homeland
chairman,
Security."
folks
They're
meeting
like,
the
"What? We're shooting a
standards of
fucking
the Worcester Public
video!"
Schools,
Like it was the
and not
craziest.
being able
Like
to pass the test.
it,
For
and
a
not
host
so,
of
not
reasons,
like
Mr. Chairman.
before that. And again, this is totally white
certainly,
privilege. So
we
we're
shouldn't
not
be
we're
taken
talking
to
about
a
degrees
test.
here, but like
You know,
cops
we
wouldn't
should be
never
looking
talk to us before.
at
Like,
Right.
no
evaluating
cops ever
students
bothered us. We did crazy
based
shit.
on our standards. And in addition to that, Mr.
To that,
Chairman, we
to
know
like
that the
tie
MCAS
your
test
two things
does
together,
not
Brian, and to be
accurately
clear too, like
measure
even beyond
our
the like,
state
yeah,
standards and
totally
skills.
like white privilege stuff. That
We should be
without
focusing,
a
as
doubt.
we've talked about here on
But
the
it's
council on job readiness.
it's not to like knock
folks who are
folks
getting
like,
ready for
haha, we had a
trade
good time, you
school,
didn't. I
getting
actually
into the
genuinely have a
workforce, and
hard
of
time
course,
relating,
college
like even to my own
preparedness.
son, that like, what do you mean you're not
You know,
doing
we
this,
heard
right?
that
Like
a little bit
can't
earlier,
visualize a
statement
world
about
where a young
700
person can't just
students
do whatever the hell they want to
who are left behind
without
because of this,
fear
Mr.
of being
Chairman.
observed
They've
constantly.
passed every other
But, like when I
measure
was in
of
high school,
requirement
like
in their
before
public
21,
schools in this Commonwealth, but yet they
Airport
can't
Hill.
graduate.
So like the big, there used to be a sledding
Teaching to
hill.
the
Like
test again
that's where we used to
is
have keg
not
parties,
the
like all
answer.
throughout the 90s,
Relying on our
on the top of the
educators
hill. And
is.
like, not only
And
would
I'll
that just
stand
being
with
there
them
be a felony now
today
because you're like
and
so close
tomorrow.
to the airport.
And,
Like
you know, it
the
will
other, like when
benefit
police would show
my
up because
family
neighbors would
and
call in,
all the
they would
kids
park
and
like along
families
airport,
in our
hill,
city.
like the
Thank you,
airport
Mr.
drive,
Chairman.
and they get on their loudspeakers ordering us to come down. And we would just all like
Thank
1,
you.
2,
I
3.
too
No,
support this,
go fuck
item.
yourself. And like they'd
Being
leave.
a school
Like there
committee
was
member for 4 years, I
there was no
always
threat of
opposed
getting
to the
arrested. It was just
test
okay. They
requirements
did
for
their job.
graduation,
We're
and
doing
I
our
was
job.
very
Let's
clear,
tone it down a
especially
notch
in
and
my
go back to
work
drinking
of,
beer in the woods.
lobbying at the State House against
Yeah,
the
it's just
MCAS
it's so
testing.
strange.
Also, being an educator of 30 years at Quinn Sigmund Community College.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I saw the
like
kids
it's
coming
just
right
it is
from
just
Worcester
the
Public
degree.
Schools, and one of
The degree to which it changed, because again, that I saw that like during high school, I saw the change.
In learning that
And
one
it was,
test really
so in
couldn't,
some ways slow, but
determine
like
someone's
by the
future, and
time,
shouldn't determine someone's
honestly,
future.
by the
And I
time,
felt that, kids
like
needed
that
a
first,
chance to
that Red
develop and
Sox
grow.
parade in
And the other thing
2004,
I always said, and
where it was
I
like,
put it on
oh,
several
wait,
of
the
my
cops are
push cards
psychos
back
now.
in the day when I was in
Like,
school committee.
and they were
Let
before,
the teachers
obviously.
teach.
It's just that
Because
they weren't
when we teach
like,
to a
they
test,
weren't
we don't
in
allow
military
teachers to
gear,
use their
like
creative
looking to
energy
like looking
and
for
the
every
creativity
opportunity
to really
to,
foster
you know,
and
again,
individualize some of the leading learning
certain
paths that
groups they
want to
were.
do. Thank you.
And if I was in college
Councilmember
earlier
Council.
and stuff like that, I'm sure
Yes, Mr.
protests
Chairman,
and things like
just
that would run
want
into it.
to
But
say,
it just
I
the
was
degree to
happy
which it
to
changed
sign on to this
was
when they
small
came
at first,
to
but it
us.
ratcheted up
And I think
year after
nobody
year
could
after
say
year.
it
And
better
now
than
we're in a police
Especially up
state.
here too, man. You know, like because you were just talking about too,
that
Brian, with like
what
police
this
being
means
everywhere and
to
whatnot.
the
Like if you fly in and out of
education
Logan
system. So
now,
happy to support
you
it.
go to almost any other
Roll
airport
call,
in the
roll
country,
call.
realize that we do things very, very differently in the
Council Bergman?
Northeast, where
Yes.
there's
Council Calorio?
super,
Yes.
super
Councilor
heavy state
Diaz?
police
Yes.
presence
Councilor
everywhere.
King?
Yes.
Councilor
Everyone's
Carlson?
in a shitty mood,
Councilor
just
Yan?
like
Yes.
angry about
Councilor
everything.
Hager recused himself.
Most of the
Councilor
country's
Pacillo?
kind of changed
Yes.
that a little bit
Councilor
too.
Russell?
I think
Yes.
feel like it
Councilor Toomey?
feels more like it
Mayor
did
Petty?
pre-September
Yes.
11th in the 90s and whatnot. You
14A
still have a
and
whole
B,
different
refer to the Economic
level of
Development Committee. All
panopticon
those in favor,
technology-wise
vote
that exists out there, but
14C, refer to the Public Works
New England
Committee.
has
All
not,
those in favor,
and
opposed,
especially
so
Boston,
ordered.
in the wake of
15A,
the
accept
marathon
and adopt
bombing,
the roll call.
Right.
has not shaken
Roll
that
call.
like security
Councilor
theater
Bergman?
is
Council
the
Calorio?
will
Yes.
forever
Councilor
be the
Diaz?
one movie that is
King?
playing
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson?
in the Commonwealth of
Councilor Yan?
Massachusetts.
Yes.
That
Councilor
Maine
Hager?
South Mountain, you're absolutely
Yes.
correct.
Council Pacillo?
Yes.
It is.
Council Russell?
It's PTSD for
Council
sure.
Toomey? And Mayor Petty?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And some
15B to
people,
15D,
you're right.
motions
Some people
accept.
insist
All
on
those
it.
in favor, opposed, so ordered. 16A, accept and adopt on the roll call.
Even to the point too, where I think there's a through line there from September
Calorio?
11th
Yes.
right
Councilor
through
Diaz?
COVID too,
Council
where like
King?
we're
Yes.
just
Councilor
pretending now
Carlson?
in
Councilor Yan?
2024 that everything that
Councilor
happened
Hader?
2020,
Council Pacillo?
2021
Yes.
before we
Council
started getting
Russell?
a handle
Yes.
on what a
Toomey and
disease
Mayor Petty?
actually was.
16B
That
to
we're all fine now.
16L, accept and
It's like
adopt.
no,
All
we
those in
still haven't
favor,
actually had our grieving
ordered.
process from. Again, if you're a little bit older, like I was getting ready for
16M,
work. I was
16P,
working as an
motions
EMT
accept. All those in favor, opposed, so
when planes
ordered.
started hitting buildings.
17A, we
I was,
already did.
but like CNN was a normal thing then.
17B,
It wasn't like
motions
crazy person
accept.
TV. So
All
like
those in favor,
we just have
opposed,
it on
so
in the
ordered.
background. So like that's what I did in the morning.
18A,
CNN was on,
18B,
drinking coffee,
motions
putting my
accept.
boots on,
All those in favor,
and then like
opposed,
watching
so
planes hitting buildings. But it was like immediately trying to figure out like all my friends in New York, like where are they
Major Taylor
physically right
Museum
now?
and the Major Taylor statue.
That was wicked fucking dramatic. It was like half the people I knew and loved were in places where planes were just flying out of the sky
previously,
into
Mr.
buildings.
Chairman, and
But immediately it
actually
went
on the
into
Major Taylor Association website today.
yeah, like nationalism, weird
the
shit.
only website they have, but
Yeah.
it seems to be the one.
My Uncle Joe Biden had that old
Prominent
copy of the
website.
Patriot
They
Act
don't
just
even
sitting in the
mention
top drawer of his desk in the Senate chamber, ready to go.
museum location.
2
but
weeks
they do
later,
mention Melican
fired up the cannon.
for a screening of a recently
So
released
fucked.
documentary. I think the museum is fine, but I do think that the library has 1,400 people that go in and out a day, and the museum probably doesn't have that in a year. And I think there needs to be some communication between the museum and the library, so that any 1,400 people a day that go into the library and get a chance to look at the beautiful statue have an opportunity to know there's a museum down the street, and vice versa. So all I'm asking is to be some communication. It doesn't have to be a physical change to one location, but there needs to be some sort of communication so that both locations don't act independent of one another. I think that makes complete sense. I think that only exposes the Major Taylor story to more people, and I hope that's something that my colleagues can support. Thank you.
So you're amending, so you're amending this to say, make sure they communicate back and forth.
That's fine. The intent was they don't operate independently of one another. So we can communicate with one another so that they, perhaps the city manager or acting city manager can communicate with the head of the library and the head of the museum and see why they can't just post some information making each other aware of the existence of the other. Makes no sense to me how 1,400 people.
No, you're right,
a day
Gio. It also was like the
library
start of
looking
that
at the
level of
statue.
tragedy
I have no
farming
idea
too,
that
where
less than a mile down the
something
road, there's a
awful
museum.
happening was always happening
make sense to
somewhere, and you needed to know about it immediately, even though there was a 99.9% chance it had zero impact on your life at that moment in time.
Yeah, he amended it, yeah. Okay.
It could be whatever, a road, it could be a high-speed pursuit on a California highway. You were going to know about it and follow the whole damn thing. Yeah, it just everything was real-time doom scrolling.
When I lived in California, I only saw one high-speed chase that was on the news go by our street because we lived right on Santa Monica Boulevard, like right off of it. And I only saw one time where we were watching it and hoping that the car would come close to us, and then we looked out the window and it went by, and then we looked back on TV
Is
and
that
there it
fair
was.
enough, or do
It
you
only
want to
happened
make a
one time.
motion?
That was one of the most amazing
I made the motion. Mr. Chairman.
things. And again, it was on
Do we
CNN,
need-
like for some reason.
Yeah.
Just a random Wednesday car chase in LA.
Peter Dunn or anybody that you need passed tonight? No. Okay.
I think most of them, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I
are
remember.
orders, committee report.
Okay, so we are on
Chairman,
G.
we can
Like
that's fine, we can
the
do it next meeting.
was
That's
fine,
nine,
we can do it
what's
next
the
meeting.
earthquake in LA in Northridge?
So
Was
take
that
the items
90?
that we haven't adopted yet. We did,
94?
D, E, and F. So the rest.
And that was or maybe 92. I think it was 92.
Mr. Mayor,
That was one of the
this
first ones I
application
remember like
19C, G, H.
being like a huge news
Oh,
story that
except
like
D, E,
interrupted my
I, J,
life.
and A.
Uh,
We did 4 of them.
Yep.
I think it was
So we
94.
did
so
A,
I think you're
we
right.
did D, we did E, and we did F.
Okay.
But even like this is what I was trying to. I was
Mr.
thinking
Bergman?
about this while we were talking about
Council
it.
Florio?
Yes.
I have a
Councilor
memory of. I was in 6th grade when
Councilor King?
Columbine happened.
Yes.
I have a memory of
Carlson? Councilor
that
Nayan?
somebody turning on the news
Councilor
about
Hayda?
that while we were at
Councilor
school.
Pacillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor
And I don't.
Toomey?
And that seems fucking crazy,
Mayor
but I
Petty?
don't know why
So
I
motion to
can't
adjourn.
shake that. All right, here we go.
All those in favor? Opposed? So ordered.
Well, there we go, everybody. We got through it. I mean, honestly, 9:36, not bad for them. That was a pretty long agenda. But you know, they did the right thing on the thing that really needed to happen. And it was only through the work of not only Attell and a couple other counselors, I guess. 2 was good in the traffic and parking meeting about it, and I assume before that, just in general, and a lot of people in here making public comments, and then again, I think we did a little bit of bullying, and I think it worked.
Yeah.
And Donna specifically speaking about it tells you that she's at the very least reading Bill's Twitter feed or getting it sent to her. So yeah, I'm happy that it happened at the very least. We'll see what the implementation is like and what other things come of that, but at least let's take a small win when we can get them, right?
Or a Buc-ee's.
I would love a Buc-ee's. Wait, is it seriously going to be a Sheetz? Because that would be fucking great too.
Wait, they're really talking about bringing a Sheetz to Worcester?
That would be incredible. I mean, I prefer a Wawa, but I'll take a Sheetz. We do need more. We need more southern, or not southern, but like south of us, have better gas station / like truck stop.
Yeah.
And now Cumberland Farms is ruined, so we don't even have that. They're getting
It's
so
just
shitty.
things that are like terrible, but in a really good way. That like throughout the South and Midwest, they're better.
They do it. But Worcester's different. We couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to. I guess I kind of watch this dumpster fire that is the rest of this debate. Trump apparently did yell, "They're eating the dogs." So that's yeah. We're seeing the truly unhinged version of a presidential debate, and we should watch it. So, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight, for sticking it out with us. You guys do such an amazing job of advocating and letting us bully. Yeah, are they meeting next week? I believe they're meeting. We have a meeting on the schedule next week. Maybe let me double check this before we go. Let's see. Meeting schedule. Please load slower. Yeah, September 17th. Joint agenda. Let's see how much dumb shit is on there, and we can go back to really hating everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Make sure that you're, following all the socials that you're already following, and subscribe if you like. But follow us. Tell people to follow this channel. We should drag in some more lost souls.
Hmm.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and we will see you next Tuesday. We love you guys.
Have a great
Good
night.
night.